this piece of crap for their office gift swap. The company is making no secret that when it comes to wasting the obligatory $20 on a useless electronic dartboard or pretzel maker for someone you couldn't care less about, CVS is your best option.
Our incredible selection of worthless is just the thing that nobody wants. We guarantee you'll find nothing personal to any of you people, and I didn't put any effort into this.
CVS also has Hanukkah gifts for coworkers who you think might be Jewish, like candles and those little plastic net bags full of chocolate money.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial on in here toll free. You can take control of the airwaves, and you can bring up whatever is on your mind. The number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us also via Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. And another way, the third way to contact the show to get on the air with us, is via the on-air call-in line room on our Discord over at Discord.lrn.fm. Well, 2018 has been a big year for Free Talk Live so far. We've set a couple of new records. A new one was set today, actually. The first record we set was a little bit earlier this year when we finally surpassed 180 radio affiliates from coast to coast. That was a new record for us.
We're now on 187.
Yep, but we're about to lose one out on the West Coast. They're changing their weekends up and
flipping formats.
Not a format flip, but probably they're going in a different direction. They appreciated the show.
That means, yeah.
I think that it usually means they're going like lifestyle talk or whatever.
Okay.
Usually when you hear that, if they're not changing formats on the entire station. So, you lose some, you gain some over time, and we've managed to continue gaining and have hit over 185 stations. So thank you to all of our great radio affiliates from coast to coast that air Free Talk Live across the United States, coast to coast and beyond, because we're on in Guam now. So again, thank you to everybody out there.
They have coasts there in Guam.
That's true. And then also, thanks to all of our Free Talk Live listeners and amplifiers who have made that happen, because if it weren't for our listeners who are contributing $5 a month to the show, we wouldn't be on near as many radio stations, because that's money that we invest into marketing the show towards other stations, for instance, and also internet listeners. And a lot of that factors in to the decision that Talkers Magazine made, which was to move us up. And they've been moving us up year after year after year. They moved us up on their what they call their Heavy 100,
right?
Which is the top 100 most. Is it most influential or most important? I forget.
I think it's important was the last I heard.
Either way, it's their top 100 talk shows, basically. And it's not ranked based on necessarily like how many stations or which stations. It's just they arbitrarily decide on whatever hidden factors they have on who the top 100 talk shows are. And Free Talk Live is this year number 27. So
it's really great news.
Thank you.
And I love, for me, that's the big news. But there's even sort of more interesting shakeups in that list.
By the way, we moved up from 29 last year. We originally cracked the list in the year 2009. So this is our 10th year.
Do you remember? Somebody asked me that today, and I did not know the answer. So we were number 98.
Was it 90? I thought it was 97 the first time. But whatever.
I think we're 98 the first time.
We were in there, the bottom 5 of the top 100.
Yep. But before that, we were on the list for 2 years in what they called the top 250, so we didn't even have a number. It was just a list of names that we were on, and it was a lot more fleshed out back in those days, I think. Yes. I think there's just fewer people on the radio now.
Yeah, they got rid of the 250 thing, and they're only doing the Heavy 100.
But the big news is that Rush Limbaugh dropped from number 1 to number 2.
Yeah, he was number 1 for quite a long time.
I think 20 years.
I feel like Howard Stern was number 1 at some point in the past. I don't recall. I don't have, I have not gone back and dug through all the old.
We should do interviews with an interview with Michael Harrison. He'd know.
Michael Harrison might very well remember that. He's the publisher of Talkers Magazine, longtime advocate for talk radio. By the way, joining you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian,
Melanie,
and Mark.
So, yes, congratulations to us. Thank you to Talkers Magazine. It's an honor to be included, to be the only real libertarian talk show on that list. We're not the only libertarians on the air, but I mean, I looked through the list. I didn't really spot anybody else. Freedom Fiends didn't make it, unfortunately. I saw Larry Elder on there, but he's not really a libertarian. He's like a warmonger. But they've called him a libertarian. Glenn Beck has called himself a libertarian.
He's number 11.
He's not really a libertarian.
Dropped from, at one point, he was number 3.
Yeah, well, Glenn's had, nobody stays on top forever.
No,
right?
no one does.
So here we are.
When you hit the top of the list, I guess it's time to bail.
And by the way, we've done this while, as I mentioned the other night, breaking the rules of talk radio, because you were there, Mark, when we first got that meeting with Big Jim Davis back in the day at Real Radio in Sarasota, Florida, where we started the show in 2002. I think it was like week number 1 or 2 or 3 on the air. They called us into the office and went through what they called the rules of talk radio as written down by people who supposedly know these things. And they, I don't know, it was like a good hour or 2 hour long meeting or something like that. And I took notes the whole time and crossed out the ones I didn't like, and we've just been ignoring them ever since.
Pretty much all of them.
No, not all of them. There were a few good ones, but like one of the rules is you don't do an open phone show.
Right.
And that's what we've always done. It's always been open phones every single night, for better or for worse. Sometimes there are some god-awful calls, but if you don't, if you're not willing to take the god-awful calls, you'll never get the real gems, I don't think,
right.
that would sometimes be screened out by a call screener, because a lot of talk shows in the business, they've got very strict call screening policies where the call screener will only allow a person to call if they're calling on the topic that the talk show host is talking about, and only if they're taking a position that the talk show host is comfortable with taking,
right, or
comfortable with fighting against, or whatever. Whereas we just open it up to absolutely anybody who wants to call in about any topic anywhere. So.
Right. On our show, they don't even tell us what necessarily they're going to say. 1 or 2 words is all we ask for.
I just want a one-word topic. That's all I care about. What's the one-word topic? That way we know if you're on the discussion we're on, or if you want to change the topic to something else. It's really the only information that we glean besides the caller's name and location and how they're listening to the show.
Yeah, and half the reason we get the how they're listening is just so that we know.
Yeah, I'd like to know if they're listening on the radio.
Marketing purposes, basically.
Want to know which stations are generating the most calls and that kind of thing. So, it's always been open phones since day number 1. Another rule of talk radio that we've broken is you're not supposed to take somebody for more than 2 minutes. Just like some arbitrary hard rule of 2 minutes.
Well, the songs that come on the radio are 3 minutes long, right?
On average, probably in a pop music station, yeah.
So I think that they probably have this, attention span belief, and maybe it's true. Maybe it is.
I think there's a general truth that your typical caller isn't really worth more than 2 minutes. I think there's something to be observed.
Basically, if somebody repeats themselves, you're going to can them.
Correct.
So, but if they're continuing with new content,
if they're interesting, I just judge based on what I want to hear. If they're interesting enough for me to stick with it, I'll stick with it. I've always done this.
With that yardstick is you're a weirdo. So
that's okay. There's apparently enough of them out there to make us the number 27 talk radio show in the country, according to Talkers Magazine.
Indeed.
So I don't worry about pandering to an audience. I just do the show that I want to hear. And if somebody else likes it, great. If you don't like it, well, there's a bunch of other shows out there that you probably would enjoy listening to.
So for me, I guess I kind of have this question. Dave Ramsey, you know who he is?
He's a talk show host who is like a financial advisor. He's not like how to invest in stocks, but more like how to get out of debt, how to kind of fix your S when it comes to you've had bad financial habits. Here's some tips on how to, get out of it.
Right, and it's all you have to do is read one of his books to know. Basically, there's a list of 10 steps that he has, and you've got the whole thing. He's more or less a one-trick pony, but the fact that he's been able to get as high as he has, I mean, I don't mean that in an insulting way. It's amazing.
Number 3 on this list, and he's been up there for a while.
And frankly, I believe he's number 1.
Really? Why?
So if the question is who's most important, what would you define important as? And I don't know. Like, important's a great word because it's so arbitrary. But this guy affects how many millions of people's lives have been changed because of his little list of 10 things you do to get out of debt and have a more prosperous life and all those things. I mean, he's been an inspiration to quite literally millions, as opposed to getting on the radio and saying those darn Democrats and their stuff, and like over and over and over again for decades. I have to say that I think that Dave Ramsey is more influential would be the term that I would use, but Talkers uses the term important. So I would have put him number one, but I probably would have put him number one a long time ago. So, what can I say?
All right, our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, the military apparently lost $21 trillion. Mark, you've got that story.
That's what it says.
You've got that story. We're going to share that with you, and you can take control of the airwaves here as well. This is Free Talk Live.
Ike was such a sweet, lovable animal, and people would want to pet him, and they'd come up, and they'd get close to him, and it would be this instant, oh! My dad didn't want to touch him. It's like, ooh, get the stinky dog away from me.
Even after we'd give her a bath, she would still stink.
Very stinky, both bad breath and bad gas. I asked the vet, and he said some dogs are just stinky.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
The ingredients convinced me that it was definitely worth trying. After about a week, he started smelling normal. My husband and I were really kind of astonished. Dinovite is nutrition.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial on in here toll free if you want to join us. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Hey, look, just because we're the number 27 talk show, according to the Heavy 100, doesn't mean we don't have like wide open phone lines at all times. So I think a lot of people think
often.
Yeah, if it's during the week, it's almost a guarantee that you're going to get pretty much right in.
And what do you mean by right in? I mean, because if you're
like
waiting,
as soon as you
10 minutes,
get screened,
5 minutes,
right now you're going to get right in.
Yeah.
Because if we're not taking calls, it means we don't have them generally on Free Talk Live. Either it means something's wrong with the phones, or we don't have any calls. So, there's a lot of shows that are like that. That's also one of the rules of talk radio you're not supposed to break. You're not supposed to say when you don't have any calls on
right.
hold. And we generally don't because we've got a lot of things to talk about. But
calls and listeners aren't the same thing by any stretch of the imagination.
Not at all. Not at all. So if you want to join us, you may, and you can also bring up anything that you want. Coming up, Melanie, you've got a story tonight about a school setting a rule that students must have a smile on their face. We'll talk about that on the way. Plus the military budget, not budget, but lost money, $21 trillion. That's where Mark is. That's what Mark's going to be telling us about here in a moment. But speaking of money, I do want to let you know about Bitcoin.com. You've heard about Bitcoin. But do you really know what it is? Do you know what makes it so exciting, so special, the reason why it's worth about $8,500 per unit right now? Well, if you don't know, you ought to go to Bitcoin.com to find out more, because it's a great kind of introduction to cryptocurrency there over at Bitcoin.com. Maybe you're not so new and you want to get the latest news headlines about Bitcoin. Well, they've got that too over at news.bitcoin.com. That's once again news.bitcoin.com. All right, Mark, so what's going on with the military? $21 trillion. That's a lot of money. What happened?
Truthdig.com, Lee Camp writes, $21 trillion. That's not a typo. The Pentagon's own numbers show that it can't account for $21 trillion. That meaning trillion with a T. This could change everything, but I'll get back to that in a moment.
It won't.
No, it won't change anything. There are certain things the human mind is not meant to do. Our complex brains cannot view the world in infrared, cannot spell words backwards during an orgasm, and cannot really grasp numbers over a few thousand.
Somebody experimented with spelling words backwards during orgasms?
I'm sure your tax dollars paid for that. A few thousand, we feel, and we can't conceptualize. We've all been in stadiums with several thousand people. We have an idea of what that looks like and how sticky the floor gets. But when we get into the millions, we lose it. It becomes a fog of nonsense. Visualizing it feels like trying to hug a memory. We may know that.
You're just adding zeros.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just adding zeros. It's just hard to really even understand it.
You may know what $1 million can buy, and we may want that thing that it can buy, but you probably don't know how tall a stack of $1 million bills is. You probably don't know how long it takes the minimum wage employee to make $1 million. And that's why trying to truly understand that the Pentagon spent $21 trillion unaccounted for dollars between the years 1998 and 2015. So this is really easy for me. I got out of prison in 1998. Ian, what were you doing in 1998?
Graduating from school.
Yeah, you hadn't even started working for the radio station yet?
I had started at the radio station, yes.
Just barely?
I had at least a year under my belt.
Okay. So it washes over like your mother telling you that your third cousin that you met twice is getting divorced. It seems vaguely upsetting, but you forget about it 15 seconds later because what else is there to do? $21 trillion. Let's get back to the beginning. A couple of years ago, Mark Skidmore, an economics professor, heard that Catherine Austin Fitts, a former assistant secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, say that the Department of Defense Office of Inspector General found $6.5 trillion worth of unaccounted for spending in 2015.
Before you go on, I did the math here, and this isn't going to really help visualize this, but if you can at least try to visualize $1 million, $21 trillion is $21 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed it is.
Yeah.
And also it's the amount of the national debt. So if...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And if this isn't money that's lost, by the way. This is money that is unaccounted for, I think is a better term to use. So...
Well, wait. So is it part of the national debt?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay.
But if this unaccounted for money hadn't been spent... one would presume the national debt would be paid.
Would be lower at the very least.
Right.
Well, the national debt can't be paid, but it could be lower.
What do you mean by that?
Because of fractional reserve banking and how the U.S. gets money.
Meaning the Federal Reserve prints out money, increases the money supply, and then charges interest.
So there is
it's
more.
It's impossible to pay it.
The national debt is higher than the sum total of all U.S. money in circulation, and that's assuming that none has been destroyed or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's an impossible task to pay off the debt, is what you're saying. That's the way the system is designed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, sort of. First off, there's two money-creating entities out there. There's the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Mint. So the U.S. Mint mints $1 coins, and those are actual money created by the U.S. government, whereas the Federal Reserve note is money created by the Federal Reserve. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't. They're not. I would have to look into that more, but they're not printing enough to do that.
Yeah, they're not minting enough.
But wait, so wasn't your idea that they could mint like a $1 trillion coin and then pay off the debt?
$21 trillion coins. Make about a platinum just for kicks.
I think that's going to work about as well as Iraq not taking reserve notes for oil.
Right. Well, I think that if you could do it, it would crash, the whole, banking system in the United States. It would really sort of confuse things greatly, but it could be done. I don't know what the value of it would be, particularly, because the United States government doesn't care about the interest that's on the debt. They don't care about the debt.
It doesn't affect them. It's not like the Congress people go home and have to pay off the debt like people who went to school have to pay off their debt. The Congress people have no responsibility whatsoever they can just run up all the debt they want to, and they can benefit all their buddies in industry, which is what politicians do. They punish their enemies and they reward their friends, and so they can just reward all their friends and then get out whenever they feel like getting out, and they get a pension.
Yep, and I can't figure out, I can't get a straight answer out of anybody as to what happens when the debt gets to, whatever height. Like, tell me what happens. Where's the break point, and what occurs when the debt gets so high? If Donald Trump went whole hog, right, and said, I'm going to fix all the infrastructure of the United States, I'm a builder, and I'm going to build, right? That's a terrible Trump imitation. But, he sort of said those things. Maybe he decides to fix all the infrastructure. The debt's $40 trillion
doubles the debt. Okay,
doubles the debt. He comes up.
There's a good chance it will anyway, right? Because isn't that what happened under Bush and then Obama? And
I kind of feel like yes, that's true. But that took them all 8 years to double the debt.
Yeah.
If he doubled it in 4 years, like 3 years,
that would be impressive. Yeah,
it would be impressive. But you'd have a lot of cool roads, maybe some great bridges.
Well, we know that increasing the money supply does hurt your earning power. It does hurt your standard of living, and it makes life much more difficult over time because it's a massive wealth transfer from the average person into the hands of the politically connected.
Yeah.
So there's more coming up here in moments. 855 450 free. Like freedom. Join us here.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free here to bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. There's also our Skype username at username LRN.FM. You do need to send a contact request first. We'll approve you, and you'll be good to go to call us on Skype from there. And then also the Discord on-air call-in line room, which is available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. What is Discord? Well, it is an online chat service that's free to use. There's an app, or if you don't want the app, you can just use their web service over at discord.lrn.fm. There are different chat rooms in which some Free Talk Live listeners hang out. There's the one that's called Free Talk Live, but there's other ones like cryptocurrency or gaming or New Hampshire or Forkfest. So different topics for different rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. But that top room there is the one that you can get on the air with. So it's Ian, Melanie, and Mark in the studio here tonight. Mark, you are sharing what some people are going to find to be outrageous news, that the U.S. military has just lost track of $21 trillion over the last approximately, 20 years?
And lost track of isn't the right terminology.
No?
It's
what
unaccounted for.
What's the difference?
Though there's secret programs they don't want to tell you is going on.
Oh, so you're saying they know where it is.
They know where it is. You don't. So
it doesn't make sense that it just disappeared out of a bank account. That's an incoherent claim.
Right. So I remember what the foundation of the country is, right? We the people, you're told. And you're told that, well, if you don't like the government, change it because you're the government or something. Some nonsense, some nonsensical string of words that people put together.
Yeah, try telling a cop that when he's arresting you. Hey, I'm the government. Put me down, sir.
So right. So what do you give your would you give your mother a ticket? Do you give your buddies in the police department tickets? I mean, those kind of things. But I mean, something's fundamentally flawed with the claim that we the people are the government of the United States of America when one organization, the Pentagon, not even the government, but the Pentagon, is basically spent an amount of money that we don't know what it is. It's just, it's $21 trillion, and that's also the amount of the debt that the nation currently carries, and it keeps on getting higher and higher. I mean, you really can't make that claim anymore if I'm the government and that I can do something about it. I want to do something about this. I'd like the Pentagon to tell me from 1998 to 2015, $21 trillion that's unaccounted for. I would like it to be accounted for, so at the very least, I understand why my 10-year-old son owes $60,000 or something.
Whoa. How did he acquire their debt?
Well, that's it, right? I mean, the United States government's going to tax him for the rest of his life.
Oh, yeah. But he doesn't owe any money.
Yeah, he does. As far as I know, Jack doesn't owe anybody anything, but he definitely doesn't owe the Pentagon $60,000.
But he's going to have to pay, right?
Well, I mean, they're going to try to take it from him.
But
they do take it from him.
a mugger money. He might rob me. I don't have, a debt to all future muggers.
Yeah, if he works at a job at a corporation, then they're going to take it from him. There's no doubt about that. If he manages to make his living outside of the system, so to speak, then they're going to have a harder time taking it from him. So it depends on the choices that he makes, ultimately.
To own a car or own land or buy things at a restaurant or some
I guess a little bit of that goes to the federal government, but...
functionally, we are all treated like serfs who have to pay off this.
That's how they treat you.
Debt.
Yeah, that's true.
You are born onto a very large. What does serfs work? Plantation? I don't know what you call it. Plantation's usually what they use for slaves, but I think a serf is a better terminology. And the fruits of your labor, some amount of them are hacked off and given to the federal government so that they can then do things like this.
Like bomb innocent people around the world.
Well, the Pentagon's certainly done plenty of that. If there's not a hospital to blow up, then they've got wedding parties they got to go after.
Well, you had asked the question in the last segment that I thought was interesting, and we kind of started talking about it because we can come back to the story here. But your question was sort of about the debt. It's at $21 trillion. What is the breaking point?
Yeah, what height does the debt have to go to make a difference? If Trump just built a bunch of bridges and roads and repaired, we're told all the time, right? Like every time there's a news story, America is practically falling apart. Your bridges are rusting apart. And these things may very well be true. I have no clue. If it is true, then it's a lot of evidence that you should never give your money to the federal government or any other state government, because this is the condition in which they keep the roads, and the roads are the first thing that everybody always points to that we need government for. Well, they're terrible at it.
Well, not giving your money to them is helpful in the short term, but ultimately, if they use inflation, you're still being taxed.
Sure,
they're still hitting the value of the money that you have. Inflation is like a hidden tax, basically, to where even if you manage to not spend any money whatsoever and just hold on to all of it and not give a dime of it to the federal government, overtly at least, you would still end up getting hit by the inflation tax, because when they print more money out, when they increase the money supply, it devalues the money that you're holding on to. So you basically can't avoid this unless you convert the money to something they can't inflate, like cryptocurrency or gold or silver or something like that. So that is one way to protect your own self against this, because changing the federal government, you're not going to be able to do that.
You can't do it.
Not in your lifetime.
You can't change a state government. I mean, it's just too much.
We're seeing some changes here in New Hampshire with the increase of the libertarians moving here as part of the New Hampshire freedom migration. But yes, it is also very hard to change state government. But the federal government's an impossibility.
I could, with enough work, I could put lipstick on my boar, Bill Clinton, right? I could put lipstick on a hog, but he's still going to be a hog with lipstick on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can change a few things around the edges. You may very well create a golden age for New Hampshire into the future, but I'm relatively certain.
It's still a gang. Any political work at all is palliative. It's not getting at the problem.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, of course, the problem here, if you want to get at the real problem, is that people believe in the state, that they believe that despite all of its waste, despite all of its violence, despite all of the terrible things it does, despite all of the corruption, the unending train of officials being arrested and put into prison. Look at Illinois, for instance, where, almost all their governors go to prison. There's so many examples of corruption that are revealed to people, and everybody rolls their eyes and says, "Oh, there they go again," because they can't change anything about it. So what do? If you can actually change how people feel about the state, if people were to decide that the state was as bad as slavery, and in my view it basically is, because essentially it's a new form of slavery. If people were to come to that conclusion and reject the idea of the state, reject the idea of coercing their fellow man, then the state could go away in the future. But as long as humans want to control their neighbor, as long as people believe it's okay to vote together and then tell everybody else what to do, the state's never going to go away.
Well, I think it's a
manifestation of that belief.
I look at it a little differently. What I would say is that people want to be able to count on behavior of their fellow citizens and those with whom they're making agreements and things like that. So if there's a contract that basically says, this is how things are going to go or whatever, that people can agree to, then ultimately that's acceptable. So yes, I think that there's a standard for behavior that people will have to sign up for in order to be part of society, part of a government. The question is, how do we get better government? And I would say that the answer to that is allowing people to make choices. Is it possible for us to have different governments in a given landmass? Well, I can tell you that it's possible for us to have different homeowners insurances in the same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, there's different governments. We have a tiered government right here. There are areas in the world that are disputed. Of course, you can have multiple gangs in one area. That's kind of worse, though.
Well, I think that, to me, a government isn't a gang. A government is an agreement. It governs behavior. So you have to agree to it.
Well, in this case, they claim you've agreed, but you haven't.
No,
so
you have
the
not.
governments that we know
That's
do
a
not act the
monopoly.
way you're talking about. There's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
Good technology is good, but the philosophy behind the tech is important. And Zencash was made by voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. With no central authority or single point of failure, Zencash is more resilient than a traditional corporation. Everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in decision-making, which empowers stakeholders and makes Zencash less susceptible to third-party influence. And Zencash allows for secure private transactions. Learn more at zencash.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
According to a study released Thursday by the Princeton University Department of Biology, this local 2-year-old woodland chipmunk has crafted a far more secure and dependable plan for the future than 8 out of 10 Americans. Reporters spoke to citizens to get their view on the study.
Clearly, this chipmunk is pretty impressive. I mean, he wakes up every morning and says, I need to collect acorns and berries for the winter. He sets goals for himself and he gets it done.
He has to make a burrow in a tree stump. That's exactly what he does. He doesn't pause and have a snack and lay around for a few hours.
Out of nearly 40 separate interviews with Americans, 33 told reporters they were very impressed by the chipmunk's continued display of foresight, personal responsibility, and pragmatic decision-making when considering his own future.
He's preparing for winter, he's building a home, and he's trying to get enough nutrients to make it throughout the rest of the day. All this while being worried about maybe getting eaten by a wolf or an owl or something. Earlier this week, the electricity went off in my home because I forgot to pay my bill. It's the second time this year.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio, take control of the airwaves, and bring up whatever you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username's LRN.FM. The Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you as well at discord.lrn.fm. And joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Melanie,
and Mark.
Zencash. It is one of the myriad of cryptocurrencies out there, but there are a lot of choices. So why Zencash? Zencash was founded by voluntarists, people who actually believe in liberty, unlike those who might believe in the state, who might found cryptocurrencies. They're out there.
Yes, working hard.
Yeah, Zencash wrote voluntary interaction ideas right into their white paper. The word voluntarism is in there at least more than once, I believe. Go to zencash.com. You can learn more about it. You can read the white paper. You can get started with a secure node if you want. There are over 11,000 secure nodes in the Zencash system, which means it's one of the most, strong, if you will. The network is stronger than most of the cryptos out there. In fact, even more so, I think, than Bitcoin itself, from what I've been told. So go to zencash.com and you can learn more there. Plus, they've got some of the best privacy features. It is a privacy coin, and they have zero-knowledge anonymity, so some of the best technology mixed with the best philosophy makes for a pretty great cryptocurrency. Go and check it out at zencash.com. That's Zencash with a Z, zencash.com. As we continue here, of course, we'll take your calls and thoughts about what you want. We're discussing the issue of the military just not reporting what they did with $21 trillion over the last 20 years. So approximately $1 trillion a year on average, just disappearing off the books. I mean, it was spent on something, but what you're saying, Mark, is we don't know what.
No, we don't. And I think that, we've got a debt that's $21 trillion. So this is equal to the debt. If if this money hadn't been spent, presumably the debt would be zero, or
they'd have spent it on something else. Don't worry.
Probably whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I mean, how in the world am I supposed to believe that in some way, shape, or form I have a meaningful role to play in government? Because that's what they tell me. Well, we're the government. No, you're not. If you were the government, you would know why you were $21 trillion in debt. And you don't have that information. Because if you were the government, it would be important for you to have that information. You'd want to know what your money was spent on. Not that you were giving $21 trillion, which is the amount of the debt, to an organization that's apparently completely unaccountable for reporting back to you.
Well, they're just going to say you're not that part of the government. I mean, you want to know, sure, but these are secretive things, and we're spending it on important things to protect national security, so we just can't tell you about that because you might be part of the government, but you're just the part that goes and votes. You're not the part that does anything else.
What doesn't make sense to me is why they don't just create a line item for that. You know, this is Black Line Projects, $21 trillion, have a nice day. Like, it's just disappeared from the books instead. That makes no sense to me.
They may very well have had a line item that said, secret. You know? I mean, it's secret would still be unaccounted for, right?
Pretty much.
No,
Yeah.
but I would
no
believe that
accountability.
a journalist would interpret it that way.
It would not be accounted for.
As an accountant, secret would be accounted, would be an accounting of that money.
Just because something's accounted for doesn't mean it's well spent. If you
Right,
have
that's absolutely
true. Typewriting business and you spend $21 trillion on Post-it notes, it's accounted for. That doesn't mean you should have done it.
You're just out of business.
Right. Well, it's still not. It may be accounted for in that you would see a line that says secret, but it's not accountable in that you can't audit that, so you don't really know what that is.
You can't really audit the government anyway. They audit themselves and they're like, I reviewed my books and said that I'm honest.
True.
Have
Well,
a nice day.
they don't even do that, though. The Government Accounting Office very rarely is kind to its fellow offices, but still no one cares.
Oh, yeah. What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do?
The GAO puts out reports all the time about government waste. What's new?
Right.
And that's ultimately the response that people are going to give to this, is they're going to hear the headline, they're going to be like, my God, that's outrageous. Well, it's gone. What can we do about it?
What can you do about it?
Are you going to elect somebody new? Well, they did that with Trump, supposedly. And what's he doing to change things?
He was going to drain the swamp.
Drain the swamp,
yeah.
right? Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, he even gave some lip service at one point, not to say that he's ran on the notion of paying off the debt or paying down the debt. By the way, we read a story about a week ago where the proposal is called the penny plan, that if the federal government's budget was lowered by 1%, every agency took a 1% cut for the next 5 years, that you would then have a balanced budget. Now, that doesn't mean the debt's paid off. That just means the budget is balanced.
That means they're not going into
You're not further going into debt. One would presume then that if you held steady after the 5 years of 1 penny cuts, that you would be able to pay down this debt to some extent.
That doesn't follow.
Well, because you would
Because if I make $500 a month and spend $500 a month and don't make debt payments, then especially if I have if I'm continually incurring interest, I'm not paying down debt.
I'm presuming that the economy would grow at some percentage rate. So they're talking about a 2%. Generally, they have a target of like 2% growth GDP year over. And
yeah, but GDP isn't tax money.
Yeah, but it kind of follows. I mean, if the product is what the product is and you're giving a percentage of that product goes to the federal government. So if the federal government takes 10% or whatever, then, they're going to continue to take the same amount. It's just lowering the spending is what I'm talking about. It's a proposal. And it's certainly better than what we've got going.
Well, yeah, lowering it is better than not lowering it. It's just, especially when politicians make claims that don't make sense, like I'm going to pay off the debt,
no, they're
which
not
is
pay off the debt.
Kind of incoherent statement that just leads me to believe, mainly it leads me to believe that they don't know what they're talking about.
Or they're just promising things they can't deliver.
They could be lying, but I think it's more likely that just any random congressman just has no grasp of economics.
Probably true.
Yeah, I think it's probably a better chance. You want me to go on through this article?
Yeah, tell me more.
Okay.
About this graft and corruption.
Right. So a couple of years ago, Mark Skidmore, an economics professor, heard Catherine Austin Fitts, a former assistant secretary of the Department of Home, Housing and Urban Development, say that the Department of Defense Office of Inspector General had found $6.5 trillion worth of unaccounted for spending in 2015. Skidmore, being an economics professor, thought something like, she means 6.5 billion, not trillion. Because trillion would mean the Pentagon couldn't account for more money than the gross domestic product of the whole United Kingdom. But still, $6.5 billion of unaccounted for money is a crazy amount. So I went and looked at the Inspector General's report, and he found something interesting. It was trillion. It was $6.5 trillion in 2015 of unaccounted for spending.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but the word trillion is legally obligated to be prefaced. Sorry, I had taken out the word effing.
Thank you.
So he wants it prefaced with effing every time. But he's saying this is indeed way more than the United Kingdom's GDP. Skidmore did a little more digging, as Forbes reported in December 2017. He and Catherine Fitz conducted a search of the federal government's websites and found similar reports dating back to 1998. While the documents are incomplete, original government sources indicate that $21 trillion in unsupported adjustments have been reported for the Department of Defense and the Department of Housing and Urban Development for the years of 1998 to 2015. So let's take
Not even 20 years then. Okay, I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's stop and take a second to conceive how much $21 trillion is, which you can't because our brains will short circuit, but let's try anyway. The amount of money supposedly in the stock market, the entire stock market, is $30 trillion. The GDP of the United States is $18.6 trillion. Wow. So currently we are in debt more.
I'm not in debt, sir.
They claim you are.
No, I don't care what they claim.
Lots of things.
Okay.
Don't buy into that paradigm.
They claim that you are in debt more.
That is a lie.
Than they take.
They are in debt.
Well, that's what they claim.
To themselves.
They claim that you
Federal
are
Reserve
them.
Bank that they created.
Look, they claim that you are them. I prefaced it with they claim, and they certainly do claim that you owe that money.
Well, they can claim all they want. I'm not paying.
Just to be clear, that's more money. They're farther in debt than they make in a year. If people on the radio right now were in debt as much as they, make in a year, they would be like, really, really, that's crazy. And that's not even. I'm not even talking about the unfunded liabilities.
That's the future debt that's coming.
Right. So I'm not talking about your mortgage,
Social Security,
the amount that's in your mortgage. You could certainly have a mortgage higher than what you make in a year. I have, but I'm talking about how many mortgage payments you're in arrears. So if your mortgage payments were in arrears to the amount that you make in a year, let's say you make $40,000 in a year. If you hadn't have made $40,000 worth of mortgage payments, you wouldn't be living in your house.
Indeed. We'll continue with this. There's more to the story on this shocking amount of missing funds, basically. We don't know where they went to. 855, 450, free like freedom. You can join us here. Hour number 2 is next. Free Talk Live.
Were you born before the year 1956? If so, did you know you could be collecting between $575 and $2,200 in tax-free income right now? All thanks to the FHA. Or what about this? Did you know 54 U.S. congressmen have used a special tax-free account to earn up to 35 times more on their money? It's true, and you can do it too.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, May 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.41 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,285 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $33, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,500. Antiwar.com reports a number of Afghan senators, including Deputy Speaker Mohammed Alam Azadiar, are calling for an immediate review of security agreements with both the United States and NATO, complaining they have not fulfilled their promises to support Afghan forces in maintaining control of the country. In particular, senators complained that the amount of the country under control is getting even worse, saying more than 50% of Afghanistan is now either under Taliban control or contested by them. Senator Afzal Shamil said the U.S. should be ashamed and start taking the losses in Afghanistan seriously, even those supporting the U.S. deal agreed that the situation is looking dire, but argued the security forces needed to be supported by the Senate. Many see this deal as a losing proposition, however, saying that Afghanistan needs to review the bilateral security agreement with the United States and the status of force agreement with NATO. It is not clear if they want to negotiate a replacement or just expel foreign forces from the country outright as a first step towards a negotiated settlement. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports in North Carolina, a man crashed his vehicle into a restaurant, killing his daughter and daughter-in-law, according to police on Sunday. Roger Self of Dallas, North Carolina, went into the Surf and Turf Lodge in nearby Bessemer City with several members of his family, including his daughter, Caitlin, and his daughter-in-law, Amanda. After they got a table, Roger went out to his vehicle and rammed it into the restaurant where the two women were sitting. Caitlin and Amanda Self were killed. Roger's wife, Diane, his son, Josh, and his 13-year-old granddaughter were injured. Roger was arrested and faces 2 counts of murder. The incident took many locals by surprise due to the family's connection to the area, including its law enforcement community. The Gaston-Gazette described Roger Self as a prominent proprietor of a private investigations company who has known the district attorney there, Locke Bell, for more than 30 years. The Gaston-Gazette reported that Roger Self had been battling severe depression in recent years. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a mountain lion killed one mountain biker and mauled another in Washington state on Saturday when they rode into its territory, and authorities later shot the animal dead. The mountain bikers were riding together down a remote backwoods trail at 11 a.m. local time in an area near North Bend, Washington, around 30 miles east of Seattle, when the two men encountered the animal. King County Sheriff's Office spokesman Sergeant Ryan Abbott said in the ensuing attack, the first rider received deep scratches and the other was dragged away by the mountain lion into its den. The 31-year-old survivor rode 2 miles out of the area and called 911. Police drove up the trail, found the victim's body, and went into the woods where they came across the mountain lion standing over the body, according to Abbott. Abbott said he or she, I don't know if the mountain lion was male or female, had the body of the victim down in the den. A deputy took a shot at the animal, sending it fleeing into the woods. Officers of the Washington Department of Fish and Game tracked down the big cat with dogs and killed it. Abbott said the survivor was taken to a hospital in Seattle with serious but not life-threatening injuries. Fatal mountain lion attacks are extremely rare in North America, with only about 24 recorded in the last 100 years, most of them involving children. Abbott said this was only the second deadly attack by a mountain lion in Washington state in the last 100 years. Mountain lions are the 4th largest cat species worldwide and usually attack humans only if cornered. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Following today's press conference in which NASA announced its continuing search for a planet capable of supporting NASA, researcher Dr. Kenneth Heiser sat down with Onion reporters to detail their ongoing mission to find a NASA habitable planet.
Our objective is to find a planet capable of nurturing not just life, but also a sustained interest in the exploration of the cosmos. Such a planet would need to have water and proximity to light and heat, but also life forms with even the vaguest understanding of the importance of astronomical exploration. Ultimately, this would need to be a planet with organisms that have a genuine interest in expanding the limits of their knowledge.
Heiser added that any planet capable of supporting NASA would need to be able to generate a steady stream of financing to meet the agency's $18 billion annual budget.
The important thing is we just need to be patient. There's a limitless number of planets in the universe, and eventually we'll find one with the resources to support our work. We just have to, right?
This is the Onion News Network.
Okay, well, I don't know what happened. There's our
Free Talk Live.
All right, there we go. Back with more Free Talk Live. We'll take your calls about whatever you want. Our number here is 855-450, free like freedom. 855-450-3733. Also, Skype username LRN.FM. With you tonight, you've got Ian. Melanie. Oops, sorry, Melanie. I had some technical difficulties here. Let's try that again.
Melanie.
And Mark.
Excellent. So, of course, you can bring up anything that you want. If you're just tuning into the show, the first hour, we got into a story from, where was it, Washington? Something?
This is Truth Dig.
Truth Dig, I'm sorry. Truth Dig about the 21 trillion with a T, $21 trillion dollars that was spent by the military between the years 1998 and was it 2014, 2015?
Right, 2015.
Yeah. So less than 20 years, so more than $1 trillion a year that is unaccounted for, meaning that it was spent, but they don't really know where, or at least they're not saying, if they do know. And that's where we started the show. It's actually, we're still going with that topic, and we ended up talking about fractional reserve banking, the money system, the government, and slavery, and all kinds of related topics to this main discussion. But let's continue.
So it says here, the $21 trillion number comes from the Department of Defense's Office of Inspector General, the OIG. Although, as Forbes pointed out after Mark Skidmore began inquiring about the OIG, reported unsubstantiated adjustments, the OIG's webpage, which documented, albeit in a highly incomplete manner, these unsupported accounting adjustments, it was mysteriously taken down. Luckily, people had already grabbed copies of the report, which, for now, you can, he gives a link, you can view here.
Thank goodness for the internet.
Yep. It's, sorry.
Too late.
Once it's there forever.
No take-backs.
Right. Here's something else important that from the Forbes article, which is one of the only mainstream media articles you can find on the largest theft in American history. I'm not sure that I would call this a theft. It's just it's unaccounted for or sort of undocumented stuff. Of course, the Pentagon is going to spend large amounts of money on things that we don't get told about. But I think it's important to point out that while this is practical, it is not philosophically sound, because either you are governed by an organization of people who claim a percentage of the fruits of your labor, and you have little to no effect on that group of people. Like, people don't want to hear that basically you pay and you get no say. That's what we've got.
Called this the largest theft, but they're not quite correct, because the actual theft is when it's stolen from the people in the first place. The original theft is when they steal it from you.
What you do with it after that isn't theft. It's just gross irresponsibility.
Well, I mean, right. So if a criminal steals from if somebody steals from you, They steal your wallet or take something out of your purse or whatever, and then somebody else steals that from the person who stole it from you. Is the second person also guilty of theft?
Well, yes, because you have some knowledge issues there. But even if you didn't, so either they don't know that the first person stole it, in which case they're still stealing,
Sure.
or they do know and they know it doesn't belong to them and they're not taking it to give it back to you.
Good point.
So, yes.
In this case, I think it's not inaccurate necessarily to call this theft in the same way that if somebody's cooking the books at their business that they're working at, some manager or whatever who's just funneling money into their own personal pocket somehow by cooking the books in some way, that's theft. The person looking at it may or may not be able to tell where the money went. You may not know who it was that did it initially. But somebody's stealing something there, and there's a good chance this money got funneled into somebody's pockets that it wasn't legally supposed to go to.
I don't think that's a solid conclusion. They could just be spending money on stuff they don't want us to know about.
They could be. That's true. We don't know. It's completely unaccountable, whatever this is.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, military organizations have to have secret projects that they're working on, right? Like they got to have their kill squads. They, especially with the United States military, where they're used as the world's police officers, they have to be able to send in their secret kill squads. God knows where these guys go and what they do. We got to see sort of what they do with the Osama bin Laden situation. They didn't want to keep that a secret. They wanted to show that they'd gotten bin Laden. And they did the crappiest job possible of showing that they had gotten bin Laden, but whatever. Nonetheless, we got to see a glimpse of what it is that these guys do. But they've also got to have, this F-35 project where they've spent more than $1 trillion developing an airplane that apparently functions about as well as the ones that they've got currently that are 40 years old. I mean, they have to be able to spend ridiculous amounts of money on.
For whatever reasons, they decided not to flow it through the regular accounts of helicopters, bombs, whatever. I mean, there's only so many proxy wars you can get caught fighting against yourself before you just lose all credibility. Apparently, that number is higher than one, but, I'm crazy, I guess. So, yeah, it's kind of absurd in some ways from a completely utilitarian standpoint. It's kind of absurd that the Pentagon doesn't have just a line item of, none of your business. Right. So this is kind of how that would happen anyway. There'd just be a line item that said, I don't see how this is different.
And this is a quote from the Forbes article. So Forbes magazine quotes, on this accounting investigation, given that the entire Army budget for fiscal year 2015 was $120 billion, unsupported adjustments were 54 times the level of spending authorized by Congress. That's right, the expenses with no explanation were 54 times the actual budget allowed by Congress.
So Congress passes a budget that supposedly allocates an amount of money to the military, and they managed to spend 54 times that amount. How does that happen?
55 times that amount, yes.
How does that happen?
Who knows? I don't know. Well, you're the government. Why don't you know?
I am not the government, and I never have been.
Well, they're probably not exactly paying Lockheed Martin in cash.
Okay.
So if I have the credit card, or if I have the signatory stamp to sign contracts, and
you're saying they're creating financial obligations that they're just not
meeting?
meeting?
So if Congress tells me you're only allowed to spend $1 million, and I'm like, F you, Congress, I'm spending $52 million, and I just keep signing contracts at Lockheed Martin, I spent $52 million.
So they have access to a bottomless bank account, basically? Like, how can you spend something you don't have?
Because Lockheed Martin is not going to say to the Pentagon, we have reviewed A and care about B what your authorized spending limit is. You're good for it.
Sure. No, I see what you're saying, but I still, I don't know. It's the government, so they obviously can do whatever they want to do, but if I give you a budget of $10, you have $10. You can't spend more than that. If you have a credit card that I've given you,
credit card, I
right?
can.
If
you give me
but
your
somebody still has to pay the bill.
Signature stamp,
but somebody still has to pay the credit card bill at the end of the month.
Who says they're not?
Well, where's that coming from? Wouldn't that supposed to also come from the budget that they've been allocated?
Apparently not.
Yeah, see, I just don't even understand this. This just doesn't even.
Because this isn't real
compute.
accounting. This is government world accounting, where you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you'll just get away with it. 54 times the amount that they were allocated is what they spent.
Right. There's not one person who's responsible here. Whoever it was over the years.
Because it's a
This is 1 year.
huge entity.
This was in 2015. This is 1 year.
Right, but the total $21 trillion is over a 15, 16,
Yeah,
17 year
so
period.
the U.S. federal government is still on the hook for those bills. Whether they pay or not is a different story. And can they defeat their own military contractors? Like, that's just a side issue. They're still on the hook for that bill. The Pentagon is an authorized signatory to those contracts.
Yeah.
It's not Lockheed Martin legal responsibility to go to Congress, figure out what the budget was, and figure out what the Pentagon has already spent.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. What I was saying is that whoever it was that made these expenditures, they're not going to be held responsible for it. They were just doing their jobs.
Well, here's the explanation. I got it for you.
Of where the money came from? Where it went?
What happened? Yeah, it's right here. I got it.
An official explanation?
Uh-huh.
All right, we'll get to that coming up here in
Inspector
moments.
General.
855-450-FREE like freedom. Join us on Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open your Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Blinkprotect.com/FTL to save 15%.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial on in here, the toll-free number. If you want to join us on the radio, we're talking about massive corruption in the federal government, which, of course, I repeat myself, government itself is corrupt to the core. But some of it's been uncovered now, or at least we know it exists. $21 trillion in basically unknown spending by the U.S. military over a series of under 20 years. So it's more than $1 trillion worth a year on average. That's what's been revealed here by Truth Dig, was it, or Truth Out? Truth Dig?
Truth Dig.
Truth Dig. And, Mark, you're going to share some sort of official explanation here from the story in just a moment. It's Ian, Melanie, and Mark in the studio tonight. But you've heard Melanie talking about money, and she knows a thing or two about it. She's a bookkeeper professionally. She's also somebody who can do your taxes for you. Tax season is obviously passed for this year, but there's always preparations that you can make to get ready for 2019. And if somebody hires you, Melanie, you're going to help them do that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. So if you have a small business or something like that, or some people with complicated investments, if they have crypto on an exchange because if they have crypto on an exchange, kind of planning for that kind of stuff. For small businesses, we have monthly plans starting at $100 a month.
For bookkeeping.
Mm-hmm. Which basically and it does get the bookkeeping done, but it's basically a tax planning program. Make sure everything's where it needs to be. Make sure you're buying and not buying things when you need to be doing that for, tax purposes.
And you know your stuff. You're the kind of person who actually likes to read the law. You actually, that's kind of like a hobby almost of yours. You seem to actually enjoy it, which I don't know about you, but I can't stand that crap. So you definitely want to hire somebody who enjoys that.
I wouldn't be able to be on the radio while I was reading the IRC, but
Internal Revenue Code.
Yeah.
That's what it stands for. So yeah, if you want a professional handling your bookkeeping and your taxes who hates the state, that's Melanie. She's an actual anarchist who's a tax professional. So you want somebody like that on your side. Get in touch with her directly over at tax.freetalklive.com, tax.freetalklive.com. That just runs you right on over to her website when you go there, and you can reach out directly to her and set up a consultation when you get a chance. Again, that's tax.freetalklive.com. All right, Mark, you said somebody's got an explanation here for the $21 trillion that is unaccounted for.
This is actually for the unaccounted for $6.5 trillion.
Which was 1 year's worth?
Yeah, well, this is 1 year's worth in 2015.
Okay.
This is in July 2016. The Inspector General, the report, they indicate that in their report that unsupported adjustments are the result of the Department of Defense's failure to correct system deficiencies.
There you go. Some system deficiencies, a little here and there. You lose some money here and there.
Right.
It just adds
54 times their budget in 2015 is just system deficiencies.
That looks pretty deficient to me. All right, moving on.
Right.
Make sure you get on that in the next 50 years.
Right.
Let's fix these deficiencies.
This just, it's just one sentence to explain all these trillions of dollars.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. They'd blame trillions of dollars of mysterious spending on a failure to correct system deficiencies. That's like I'm not even going to say what that says. It's just like me saying I had sex with 100,000 wild hairless aardvarks just because I wasn't looking where I was walking, is what he says. Anyway, it was
cute.
funny. Yeah, anytime you can include the word aardvark in a sentence, you've already made it funny.
That seems like a thing you would notice though. So like if you scale that down to a personal level, if you just keep getting things from Amazon that you didn't order, and they're addressed to you, and you do have an Amazon account, you might want to look into that because they're probably going to bill you for it.
Exactly. But then again, that's your own personal bills, and you care about that, whereas government bureaucrats, they don't care.
Yeah, over 20 years. So since before I was overage until now, you might want to check into what's going on if this is occurring on a regular basis.
If it were you personally, yeah. And then those bureaucrats probably would on a personal basis.
Or if that was actually true, if that was actually why.
If the bureaucrats running these programs had Amazon packages showing up mysteriously, you better believe they'd look into it because that's their own personal budget that they're concerned about there. People are concerned about that kind of thing because they are responsible for the things that they do, or at least they should be.
And that's the thing that could happen. You could tell your wife to order soap and forget, and tell your kid to order soap and forget, and put it on automatic order and forget. Like, that could happen.
Sure.
But it's not going to happen for 20 years.
You're going to correct it as soon as you discover it. As soon as you notice it's going on. But bureaucrats, they don't have the same incentives as the rest of us because they don't have personal liability for their actions when they're on their job. They don't have financial liability for their actions generally while they're on the job. And so they can just do whatever they want. And if they benefit from it directly, like, they get some solid gold laptop computer or something delivered to their office and, they get to walk away with it at the end of the year because then they can just order another one or, get the fanciest desk chair that they can possibly imagine. Government people do this kind of stuff because they can get away with it. And even if they get caught, it's not like they're going to have to pay it back, right? It's like, oh, this is the person who did that. They're retired now. What are you going to do? Dock their pension for $21 trillion?
Right. They'll make sure they get that. So I think he makes this point here going on. It also means that anytime our government says it doesn't have money for a project, it's clearly laughable. It can clearly create as much as it wants for bombing and death. This would explain how Donald Trump's military can drop well over 100 bombs a day that cost well north of $1 million each. So why can't our government also create endless money for healthcare, education, the homeless, veterans benefits, and the elderly?
Well, we don't have to make it worse. We could just, stop at what they're already doing. We don't have to add to.
See, he's revealing his political beliefs here.
Sure.
And the answer is they could. They could do that. They could just print out a bunch of. They could print out more and more and more money, and we could have rampant inflation, just like in Venezuela. And look at how healthy people are. Oh wait, no, you can't even get medicine in Venezuela because they've gone so crazy with inflation there. It has absolutely ravaged the economy and made it so people can barely even find food to eat there. So there are consequences to these actions. And this military thing, while he's right about, them being ridiculous with this military spending, more and more government spending, more government inflation is not going to make the world a better place. It's not going to get hungry people fed. It's not going to help people create jobs or anything like that.
Well, what he's saying, and I think this is a true statement. Look, I understand that government healthcare and creates all kinds of externalities and makes the marketplace inefficient. But if the money that was spent on the Pentagon, the $21 trillion from 1998 through 2015, had been spent instead on what do they list here?
Healthcare,
homeless, education, veterans benefits, the elderly, and these sorts of things. Then presumably everything would be the same in America because we are $21 trillion in debt.
Yeah.
Right? And so that money was spent and did go into a black hole. Now, if that money had been spent on something domestic as opposed to something, just things that go boom and then are worth nothing, that we would be better off? I mean, I think that's a relatively fair statement.
Well, no, I don't want them entangling themselves into more programs. Veterans benefits is the only thing that is even arguably should be a public market thing, and we don't know that the Pentagon wasn't the Pentagon is a war agency. So.
All right, we got more coming up here. If you want to join us, 855-450 free like freedom. How about government jobs for everybody? I got a story about that coming up.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to goberkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. goberkey.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, X-Keyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey, y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now, here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now, they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Pure Life Water, helping you drink better and live better by providing a zero-calorie alternative to sugary drinks. Visit us at nestle-purelife.us. When kids are playing, they often don't want to stop to keep hydrated. So send them out with a bottle of water and encourage them to take frequent drink breaks, or call them inside for a quick sip. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll free if you want to join us on the radio here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And we've got Skype. Skype username here is LRN.FM. Plus, you can also join us through our Discord on-air call-in line chat room over at discord.lrn.fm. LRN.FM. The Blink home security system back on board here with Free Talk Live. We got one here at the LRN studio. Mark, you've got one at your household. And whether you've got a small office or a home, this is a great wireless security camera system. Wireless is the key aspect of this, besides the fact that it's actually shockingly affordable. You don't have to run cables. You don't have to drill holes and run wires through walls and all of that setup that it takes. I mean, it's just a brutal amount of setup if you've ever done an install on a wired security camera system. And
this is minutes. Just
moments. I mean, you unbox it. Probably unboxing it and putting the batteries in is going to be like half the time that it takes. Then you just set the cameras where you want them, and you configure it via the wireless interface, which you can put on your phone or your tablet, whatever your preference. And then once you set the cameras up to operate during specific time frames, you can do it all day or at night or whenever it is you want. Then if something happens in front of the cam, it will send you a clip of the thing happening right to your phone. So if you're at work or if you're on vacation or wherever it is you are, you get to see what's going on in your house and or office, wherever it is you have this. I wouldn't recommend it for big offices because, again, it's Wi-Fi based. So it's got a hub, and so the hub has to be able to communicate with the cameras. So perfect for a home, perfect for a small office. The price is right. In fact, it's already a great deal. If you just go to blinkprotect.com/FTL, you'll get an extra 15% off. 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys. Once again, that's blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. So we're talking about government spending here, the mystery of $21 trillion that just doesn't, it's technically on the books. They know it was spent, but we don't know on what. We know the military spent it, but we have no idea where it went to. That's where we've been on the show here tonight. But one of the questions that we discussed sort of tangentially related to that was the question of, well, what's going to break? When is this going to break? When is this debt, the over $20 trillion in debt, is it, when's that going to have some kind of breaking effect? Because we know it's hurting people. Like, we know that the more the government prints out, the more that that steals wealth from the people who've earned it, you and I, and transfers it into the pockets of the politicians and the politically connected. So we know that's hurting people over a long period of time, but it hasn't gotten to the point of like Venezuela where people are missing a meal, right? Where every day it's hard to find chicken.
It's more of a rate increase thing than a total sum value thing.
What do you mean?
So it doesn't really matter from that vantage point how much one Federal Reserve note is worth. Mm-hmm. It matters what usually is referred to as the inflation rate. That's what's going to cause that harm. Because if there's no difference. There's no difference like that in what a denomination is. So if one U.S. dollar was in fact worth 1/10 of a penny, that doesn't matter. It's how you get there that matters. If that's what it started out as, who cares?
They got there by printing out more money.
Yeah, if they inflate at 0.1% a year, that's not going to cause anywhere near as much harm as if they inflate that in 1 month.
Right. So like there used to be a thing called penny candy, back in the day. You can't get that anymore.
Yeah, I think you could get a cheap piece of bubble gum for 3 cents when I was a kid.
When you were a kid, that would have been in the 1970s.
I've seen 5 cents at gas stations between here and Vermont.
For a piece of bubble gum?
For candy.
Okay, that's still that's something. But either way, my point is,
it's probably just to keep the kids from taking a whole handful of free candy. That way they have to come up with something in order to get the piece.
Yeah,
I don't think you're making any money on 3-cent candy.
Yeah.
5-cent candy, excuse me.
Probably not. I can tell you that you go to a candy store, it ain't going to be a 5-cent candy. You're not going to find that. You go down to
candy
downtown
store has some higher quality stuff.
And rent to pay, things like that, yeah.
Sure. My point was going to be that prices have gone up over time, and that's because of the continual printing. So a dollar is not worth today, it does not buy what a dollar used to buy 100 years ago, right? Or even 50 or 20 or 10 years ago. And you can see that at the grocery store with the price of a loaf of bread. You can see it with all kinds of different things out there. And so the government continues to take away value by printing out money. But you can see that they can make that last for a long time. You look at Venezuela, where it is an absolute S-hole at this point because of what the government has done to that country. Those poor people down there are really suffering. And unfortunately, you guys touched on it last night. looks like the final results are in from the election in Venezuela.
Yep.
And Nicolas Maduro has won his re-election. There's some stories that I'd like to share about that, but it's not really the topic we're discussing at the moment. But just as an example of how bad things can get, and they're not even anywhere near that bad in the United States right now, with all of the $20 trillion in debt, with all of the continual lost money in the printing and all of this stuff going on, the continual inflation, we're not even close to how desperate of a situation it is down in Venezuela.
Because we don't have hyperinflation.
Right. So that's the question is, well, Mark was asking earlier, how long before this thing breaks? I don't know. It seems like they can string it out for a long damn time, doesn't it?
Right. It certainly does, because the fact that these debt notes, the Federal Reserve notes that they have are, I mean, they're worse than worthless. I mean, they're a they're designation of debt. The country is $21 trillion in debt. The nation, the government, the organization that claims to be these things. It seems to be sort of irrelevant. It just keeps on chugging along.
The debt is irrelevant.
Yeah,
is what
the
you're
debt
saying.
seems irrelevant.
Well, I think that it is from a societal collapse standpoint, or even from a government collapse standpoint, because I'm not aware of any law of economics that would say at X amount of value in debt,
something happens.
X happens.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's just the question is, can they keep their inflation rate under control? And if they can, then it seems like they can just make this thing go. It just keeps on going. I mean, it's just a constant wealth transfer. People are going to slowly get poorer, but they're not going to get poorer as drastically as they are in Venezuela because the inflation rate is much, much higher there, right? So people are trying to spend their money in Venezuela as soon as they get it, because otherwise you're insane, because if you wait till the next day, if you wait 6 hours, prices are going to go up. In a place like that.
I was trying to, so I was with Jeffrey Tucker just a couple of days ago on a catamaran in St. Kitts.
Oh, that's
it was
nice.
wonderful.
Did he have a glass of wine?
He had some rum punch.
Yeah, okay.
But he was not wearing a double-breasted suit.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
Dressing down.
Yeah, he was in swim trunks.
Okay.
Snorkeling. And I was trying to get him to comment on this particular issue because I don't know. I really don't know.
Which issue, the 21 trillion or
what
the inflation?
What the relevance of the national debt is to life and money and economics or anything like that. And his answer is that it's not particularly relevant. I mean, there's no magic number at which it all falls apart or anything like that.
It's slowly falling apart, but it's just a slow motion thing that it's not. It could take generations before this government goes down.
Right.
So one of the problems, as I touched on before, is that people believe in this system. Even if they hate Donald Trump, even if they hate Hillary Clinton, even if they understand that government is corrupt, even if they understand that it's just going to be one corrupt politician after another, they still believe that it could be saved, that if they just elect the right people, that this is a legitimate idea, the idea of having government, of having a state, this group of strange men and women that think it's okay to just tell everybody what to do and how to live their lives, and if they don't, they punish them with violence and jail cells and things like that. And the fact is, even if we can have some kind of a decent-sized renaissance of people coming to the conclusion that, hey, liberty's important, let's try freedom, let's try not using coercion on our neighbors, we're never going to convince everybody. And in fact, as an example of how far away we are from convincing people of that, here's a headline from thehill.com. 46% of Americans support a government jobs guarantee. Nearly half of your neighbors would support...
Yeah, I think North Korea has that going on.
We'll tell you more about it coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Fellow Patriots, my name is Todd Savage, founder of BlackRifleRealEstate.com. Like you, I was a prisoner of the alt-left sanctuary state until one day I chose to lead my family to freedom. Today we live on a sustainable 20-acre homestead where we shoot, hunt, garden, and homeschool our children without the tyranny of the nanny state looking over us. If you're ready to flee the city to the freedom of Idaho or Montana, our Black Rifle Real Estate team is here to help. Go to BlackRifleRealEstate.com. That's BlackRifleRealEstate.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. 855-450, free like freedom. 855-450-3733. The Skype username is LRN.FM. The Discord chat is over at discord.lrn.fm, and there's a room specially for you to join us on the air in that Discord chat, so head on over there and do that. You can talk about whatever you want. With you here tonight, it's Ian.
Melanie.
And Mark.
We've been talking about some economic issues with the government just losing insane amounts of money or misallocating it or hiding it or whatever you want to talk about. It's gone. They spent it, and we don't know what they spent it on. Changing gears slightly from that is a promise or a proposal from certain political personalities in Washington, D.C. to guarantee government jobs. Just to give you an example of how economically clueless many Americans are, here's a new poll from the Rasmussen folks, thehill.com, reporting that nearly half of Americans would support a government program meant to guarantee a job to every citizen, according to a recent survey from Rasmussen, released within the last week or so, finds that 46% of respondents would support a plan by the federal government to guarantee all Americans a job that includes health insurance benefits. The news comes on the heels of several top possible 2020 Democratic presidential candidates endorsing the idea, including Senators Cory Booker and Kristen Gillibrand, and, of course, Bernie Sanders.
So let me ask you this, Ian. Currently, all Americans get some kind of welfare, right? Like, you can basically choose not to work if you want, right?
I guess. I mean, I don't get welfare, so
some amount of money. Well, they I'm not saying they get it, but they have it's available to them.
Okay.
And they also can, if they wish, claim free government health care, right?
Yep.
So that's all this program's proposing, is to give you some meager wage and free government health care, which is what Americans can have now by not working. Why not have them work for the government for this anyway?
Because it normalizes it, and because I don't want the government to have more resources.
Okay. So
you mean human resources in
Yes.
this case?
Yeah. I think that the average person, when they hear this, think to themselves, well, working is better than not working, and they're already getting all this stuff.
Yeah, a government make-work job is not real work.
No. As a matter of fact, I believe it will ruin you for real work.
Yeah.
And look, I'm with you.
You'll expect a paycheck in that case, no matter what your performance is. Because if your job is guaranteed, then if you don't perform at the job, it's still guaranteed, right? So, like...
Yes, you could just show up and play Fishville, and which is what some of the people at the office that I worked at when I was a minarchist did. And
is this a government office?
Private office or government?
Yeah, no, it was a government office.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't have to clarify I was a minarchist if I was working at some private office. But yeah, so this doesn't guarantee that you work. It guarantees that you get paid. If you cannot be fired, you could show up. You could not show up in theory. You could sit on Facebook all day and still get paid. So this isn't really different than welfare.
I mean, pretty much anybody who's been in the military has at least one story of that group of guys that ran around trying to find places that they could sleep rather than working, right?
Can't blame them.
Well, I mean, ultimately, that's what these operations do.
Yeah.
There will be 1 out of 10 of these people will work their butts off, for a great opportunity.
Do something.
Yeah. Well, they probably right. It doesn't mean that they'll work their butts off for the government. It doesn't mean that that the marketplace needs their service. Just that they work hard at it.
No, there's almost a guarantee that the market doesn't need whatever government jobs come out of a program like this. There's a guarantee the market didn't need it, because otherwise it already exists. Because if the market needed those positions, somebody in search of a profit would have created those. But the government doesn't have the same incentives as people in search of a profit. In this case, the incentive is for people like Bernie Sanders to get political points. That's what the incentive is here. It's for him to promise a bunch of free money. I mean, this is essentially another variant. Since, again, the job is guaranteed, you can't essentially get fired from a job that you're guaranteed. It's essentially the same idea as universal basic income, right?
Except that you have to work.
No, you don't. It's a guaranteed job.
You have to show up to a spot.
Well, yeah.
Maybe. Hey, I got a job guaranteed. If I don't show up at the spot and then they fire me, give me my next guaranteed job.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a limit on the number of guaranteed jobs that I can have?
Well, you can't get fired. I mean, if the job is they hand you a broom and you go out and you work or whatever, then I mean, you won't necessarily get your check if you don't work. A guaranteed job doesn't mean you're guaranteed a paycheck, if that makes sense. So if I guarantee you a job and you have to show up 20 days out of the month to sweep the street, and you choose to show up 8 of those days, then maybe you only get 8 days worth of pay.
Well, yeah, so it still could be an hourly position, so you still would have to show up, which could mess up your life in other ways, but you wouldn't necessarily have to work.
Booker has already announced a plan for guaranteed employment, while Sanders is preparing to announce a similar program in the coming weeks. Gillibrand has indicated her support for the issue in her statements. Other liberal causes also fared relatively well in the survey. 44% of Americans said they would support a ban on plastic shopping bags in their home state for environmental reasons.
Yeah,
and none of those people live on the 4th floor of an apartment.
Why is that? I don't understand. Oh, it's carrying
Because
stuff.
you're carrying your groceries.
Well, what they want you to do is to have fabric bags. I mean, my wife and I we must have 20 fabric bags from different, organizations that give them to us.
I use
and these
fabric bags as carry-on luggage.
Okay, great.
That's what they're for.
I use carry-on luggage for carry-on
I mean,
luggage.
that's nasty that you put in like raw meat in like this cloth bag. And I guarantee you, these people are not washing these things.
Yeah, that doesn't
raw
safe.
meat is wrapped in cellophane.
Not always.
It's in this
Sometimes it'll
little
leak.
thin plastic thing that's open on one end.
How about milk containers, man? How many times has one of those things leaked in a bag that you've ever had?
None that I know of.
Well, it's happened to me on a couple of different occasions.
Okay.
Sometimes there's actually milk on the bottom of the container that gets into the bag. Sometimes it just might, leak a little bit. Milk containers aren't the best sealed of containers out there.
They're not.
They don't have any washers in their seals or anything like that.
I think that, by the sounds of it, these people don't have a problem with people having to wash their fabric bags.
President Trump's approval rating is evenly split in the poll. 49% of Americans say they support the job Trump's doing compared to 49% who disapprove. More Americans, however, strongly disapprove of the job he's doing compared to strongly approve. Rasmussen contacted 500 Americans per night. This is a daily tracking poll. Okay, so they contacted 500 Americans per night and reported over a 3-day rolling average basis. So nearly half of Americans supporting a guaranteed government jobs program. If you think you're ever going to convince those people to let go of those kind of guarantees, those safety nets, those...
Right. Well, government jobs are, I think, designed to keep you there because... they don't pay particularly well. I'm not talking about U.S. government jobs. U.S. government jobs
pay better than the private equivalents, if there are one.
But if you're talking about state and county and municipal governments and stuff like that, they don't pay that particularly well. They have great benefits. So you're gonna have optical and dental and these sorts of things, but
pension
and a pension. But usually, and those are all the benefits that get you to stay.
Mm-hmm.
They're just good enough that you're afraid to leave. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to is you're not going to make any great money. Believe me, I had both a fiance and a wife that worked for municipal, or this was in one case municipal, in one case state government agencies, and they didn't make great money, but they had great benefits. Whereas with the federal government, I can't remember what the number was, but the average pay of a federal government employee was
like 70,000 or something.
It was 6 figures.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That doesn't
and that's factoring in the bennies?
That doesn't include like TSA and stuff like that,
okay.
though. It's not going to be enlisted men or officers or anything.
So my point here is, hey, wake up, libertarians. You're not going to convince these people. You'd be lucky to convince a fraction of that 46% that their idea is wrong, that their ideas of government make work, government mandate, government jobs, government handouts, all of these, free money, free health care, all that stuff, all the, backwards economics, the backwards incentives, you got your work cut out for if you think you're going to convince 5% of those people to change their minds about that. So the best solution, if you want one, is that you've got to gather together with people of a like mindset in a geographic landmass to where liberty ideas, the ideas of freedom, the ideas of, we don't need a coercive state around to forcibly redistribute wealth and mandate, all kinds of stupid victimless crime laws and all the other crap they do, bombing innocent people. You get enough people like that together in one place, and then you have a chance of creating a place that's at least somewhat tolerable to those of us who care about freedom, and then it'll be more intolerable for those people who hate freedom, and they'll leave, and they'll go to places like New York or Florida or other places where there's all kinds of, pro-government people living. It's about creating an intentional community of freedom lovers. If you want to learn more about what's happening here in New Hampshire, to do that, go to 101reasonsfilm.com. Hour 3's next.
Stocks and options trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors.
Fire your stockbroker and hire yourself. I'm Scott Bauer, and I've been a professional trader for over 25 years. I've traded for Goldman Sachs and was the first Amazon market maker at the Chicago Board Options Exchange. I'm also the CEO here at Prosper Trading Academy, the leading educational firm teaching people how to trade the markets. For a limited time, I'm giving away one of my favorite secret trading techniques used by thousands of our students every day to help build their financial future. To learn this technique right now, call my 24/7 voicemail and just leave your email address. I'll email you my free trading technique right away. Just call 1-800-228-2155. This is the very information my students use every day to invest in their financial future. Again, call 1-800-228-2155 in the next 30 minutes and leave your email address on my voicemail. That's 1-800-228-2155. Call 1-800-228-2155.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, May 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.41 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,285 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $33, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,500. Antiwar.com reports a number of Afghan senators, including Deputy Speaker Mohammed Alam Azadiar, are calling for an immediate review of security agreements with both the United States and NATO, complaining they have not fulfilled their promises to support Afghan forces in maintaining control of the country. In particular, senators complained that the amount of the country under control is getting even worse, saying more than 50% of Afghanistan is now either under Taliban control or contested by them. Senator Afzal Shamil said the U.S. should be ashamed and start taking the losses in Afghanistan seriously, even those supporting the U.S. deal agreed that the situation is looking dire, but argued the security forces needed to be supported by the Senate. Many see this deal as a losing proposition, however, saying that Afghanistan needs to review the bilateral security agreement with the United States and the status of force agreement with NATO. It is not clear if they want to negotiate a replacement or just expel foreign forces from the country outright as a first step towards a negotiated settlement. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports a North Carolina man crashed his vehicle into a restaurant, killing his daughter and daughter-in-law, according to police on Sunday. Roger Self of Dallas, North Carolina, went into the Surf and Turf Lodge in nearby Bessemer City with several members of his family, including his daughter Caitlin and his daughter-in-law Amanda. After they got a table, Roger went out to his vehicle and rammed it into the restaurant where the two women were sitting. Caitlin and Amanda Self were killed. Roger's wife, Diane, his son Josh, and his 13-year-old granddaughter were injured. Roger was arrested and faces 2 counts of murder. The incident took many locals by surprise due to the family's connection to the area, including its law enforcement community. The Gaston-Gazette described Roger Self as a prominent proprietor of a private investigations company who has known the district attorney there, Locke Bell, for more than 30 years. The Gaston-Gazette reported that Roger Self had been battling severe depression in recent years.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a mountain lion killed one mountain biker and mauled another in Washington state on Saturday when they rode into its territory, and authorities later shot the animal dead. The mountain bikers were riding together down a remote backwoods trail at 11 a.m. local time in an area near North Bend, Washington, around 30 miles east of Seattle, when the two men encountered the animal. King County Sheriff's Office spokesman Sergeant Ryan Abbott said in the ensuing attack, the first rider received deep scratches and the other was dragged away by the mountain lion into its den. The 31-year-old survivor rode 2 miles out of the area and called 911. Police drove up the trail, found the victim's body, and went into the woods where they came across the mountain lion standing over the body, according to Abbott. Abbott said he or she, I don't know if the mountain lion was male or female, had the body of the victim down in the den. A deputy took a shot at the animal, sending it fleeing into the woods. Officers of the Washington Department of Fish and Game tracked down the big cat with dogs and killed it. Abbott said the survivor was taken to a hospital in Seattle with serious but not life-threatening injuries. Fatal mountain lion attacks are extremely rare in North America, with only about 24 recorded in the last 100 years, most of them involving children. Abbott said this was only the second deadly attack by a mountain lion in Washington state in the last 100 years. Mountain lions are the 4th largest cat species worldwide and usually attack humans only if cornered. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Following reports that local full-blown alcoholic Ken Matheson has such great friends that let him drink himself to death right before their eyes, the 32-year-old man spoke to reporters during a typical evening of binging with his closest friends.
Man, these guys are like brothers to me. I don't know what I'd do without them.
The chemically dependent man, who can reportedly always count on his friends to look the other way, facilitate belligerent behavior, and encourage his self-destructive impulses, informed reporters that the members of his tight-knit circle are, quote, the best buddies a guy could ask for.
Can you just shut the fuck up? Seriously. Just shut the fuck up. I lost back then. Keep going. What the fuck are you looking at? I love you, man. I love you.
Check this week's Onion Review for further developments.
I love you. Oh, God, I love everybody.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves. You can bring up whatever you want. And that's the point of the program. As we roll into the third hour, we're going to change gears and stop talking about government corruption and economics and talk about ridiculous government school rules. And Melanie's got a story to share. It's Ian, Melanie, and Mark in the studio with you tonight. But if you want to join us, our toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. There's also the Skype username, lrn.fm, or you can join us in the Discord on-air call-in line room over at discord.lrn.fm. Melanie, what is going on and where is it happening?
So this is from Yahoo, which apparently runs a news site, and Northern Lebanon School District, which is in Pennsylvania, have apparently decided that 1984 was not an instruction manual, it was the starter kit. So North Lebanon School District students in Pennsylvania must smile when walking the hallways at the institution or they will be punished, according to a report.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Which is an extreme form of abuse.
Extreme form of abuse. Now, when you say that, I mean, normally when people think of abuse, they think of like physical beatings. And
yeah, that's because most people aren't licensed clinical psychologists.
You're saying this is worse than a physical beating?
That
goes on
that is a
forever,
completely personal preference
Yeah.
thing. We actually discussed something like that in my torture class because apparently I had one. Yeah, that's psychological abuse versus physical abuse is,
They are different
from what
kinds.
we
Yeah,
can
it's true.
tell, personal preference.
Okay.
Well, if I guess I would ask you this: if you're saying a beating versus this, is which is worse psychologically? A kid being forced to go to 13 years of government school education and forced to smile through it at the pain of a punishment, or one spanking?
Oh, well, I would say that the former is worse than the latter in that particular case.
So would I.
Yeah.
So it depends on the quantity of psychological abuse in that
Yeah.
circumstance, if that's what you want to call it. And it just
I mean,
reminds
this is like
me.
borderline gaslighting. If it's not gaslighting, I don't think I'm qualified to make that determination.
Gaslighting.
It just seems a really lot like gaslighting.
No, wait. Okay, I've heard this term before, and it, from what I understand, it means when you're gaslighting somebody, you're doing things to try to make the person think they're crazy. How is this that?
So it will, obviously, if you're having to be punished to smile, you don't like where you are. So
Right.
that, if...
No, I mean, who's wandering around smiling all the time?
Well, yeah,
I'm pretty happy about being at home with my wife and child, but I'm not a smile smeared across my face. I mean, this is just,
It sounds like Joker-esque, right? Like
it's really weird. I mean, it just reminds me of I don't know, the concentration camp, the hard labor camp, where the beatings will continue until the morale improves.
Right.
I mean, it's just really weird.
Yeah, I mean, like, given the choice between, even if it's someone, assuming you're a child, someone, significantly larger than you, being beaten, is the way I can say it on the air, is not as bad as you're ordered to be happy.
Now, let me say this about smiling. I think that there is something to the idea that if you aren't feeling that great, if you choose to put a smile on your face and you look at yourself while you're doing it, you might actually make yourself feel a little bit better. I think there is something to that, but this isn't a choice. This is people being forced to smile, and that's going to create the opposite.
There's things that can be going on in school, things that can just be going on in your life where it would be kind of psychotic for you to be walking around. If your mother died yesterday and you go to school and they're like, you must smile, that's kind of psychotic.
It's crazy. And no, this is an insane proposal. It makes me
I
think
can just imagine them lining up all the Jews in the concentration camp. Achtung! All of you will be smiling all of the time, or to the gas chambers with you.
Do Germans trill their R's?
I have no idea, but I do sound rather tyrannical, though,
Yes.
don't I?
Yeah, you were very believable.
I should talk like that all the time.
It reminds me of I've seen the recent episodes. I guess it's not even that recent, but one of the series is of the American Horror Story television program, and there's a clown character that is like a murdering evil clown, of course.
Well, yeah.
And
we got to perpetuate that stupid stereotype.
he had damage done at some point to his jaw, and so he wears a smiling mask. Would that qualify? Could I put on a mask to where it looks like I'm smiling? It's like a smiling mask.
Are
basically.
you wanting the gas chamber?
I don't know. I didn't.
Let's get
call
more of
and
the
ask
story
them.
if you've got it.
Students who do not smile in the hallways between periods will be instructed to, and if they refuse, will be sent to the guidance counselor's office to talk through their problems, reported Lebanon Daily News. Meanwhile, parents claim that reports of bullying in the district are mostly ignored by administrators. So, if the regular school officials can't force you into this weird submission, this weird Stockholm submission, then they're going to send you to the professionals, the experts. Teacher.
Yeah, I do. I guess I have a small amount of sympathy for the school officials here. I certainly wouldn't want to be dealing with these sort of morose Gen Zers that are sort of wandering around like, oh, I'm depressed, I have anxiety, blah blah blah.
Then don't work at a
blah.
high school.
Agreed. Yeah.
If you hate kids, don't work at a school.
Yep. That's pretty much how it goes. You're
It's
right.
not like a field you fell into. You had to go to school specifically for that. You had to go to college specifically for that.
Yep.
It's not like that's all you could get was McDonald's or a hotel. Like, you chose this career.
Yeah, it just seems really eerie, too. Like, can you imagine walking through the high school hallways and everybody's got a smile plastered onto their face? It just seems, I mean, I can't even imagine how bizarre.
I can't imagine anyone who thought this was a good idea. Because, I mean, you know the kinds of smiles they're going to be getting from here on out.
Uh-huh. Big toothy grins.
You know, like this, insane looking, face smeared across them.
Yep.
It just isn't. It's absolutely ludicrous. It's like the government mandating that we have to do a show praising them. Oh, I sure do love Donald Trump.
If you remember,
he's really good at his job, and he has such big fingers. We love Donald Trump. I mean, like, you could...
Like, every time your mouth opens, you have to be praising the government. In this case, it's every time your mouth is closed, you have to be smiling. Same difference, right?
Right, and if you remember, shortly after 2001, they had a couple of POW, and these weren't U.S. officials, but they were still government officials, a bunch of POW films, whatever they're called, that were intentionally released, where the prisoners were like, yes, we're being treated so well, we're happy, and just like kind of reading from a script.
That's what North Korea does.
Like that.
North Korea has done that stuff, right? There's plenty of terrorist states or
ISIS
whatever.
did it too.
ISIS, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is that kind of level.
It's nuts.
Is there more from this?
Teachers at the institution who have not been named told the news agency that Benjamin
We thought this
Wegner,
place was dumb, but boy, oh boy, this is a new level.
Yeah. The assistant high school principal has been strictly enforcing the rule, though it has not yet been put into writing within the district.
Okay, that's because it would be once you put it in writing, then the lawyers come out.
Wait. Was this the whole district or just one high school?
Well, it's not a rule in the district, at least not yet.
Okay.
This one high school is deciding to enforce it anyway. So
Okay, so they said in the hallways, can I not smile while I'm in the class? Do I just
presumably
I just have to put a smile on my face when I exit the class? Is that the idea?
I guess.
I'm not asking because I'm just kind of asking out loud here.
They might think that having to fake smile will be distracting, and they don't want anybody saying, well, I can't concentrate about trigonometry because I'm too busy smiling.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
they're probably trying to avoid something like that.
Well, because anytime a smile doesn't come naturally, you have to concentrate on it, right? Like, if somebody tells you a joke and you laugh, that smile, it's natural. But if somebody says, hey, stand over there, let's take a picture, smile, you got to think about it, right? Any other time. So this would be something you'd have to think about doing to the point where it would be maybe if you did it enough, it would become sort of this automatic response that as soon as you flip open the door from the class and walk into the hallway, a smile goes on your face without thinking about it. But man, creepy stuff. We got more coming up here. 855 450 free. If you want to share your thoughts, it's Free Talk Live.
From the sixth letter of Captain Mark. A pirate's life is characterized by voluntary interactions. Unfortunately, the Crown presses everyone into involuntary servitude. Landlubbers believe slavery was abolished years ago, but the Crown still claims to own us when it crimps us into service against our will. Given sufficient ambition, it would gladly draft thousands of hapless victims to kill or be killed. It's simply slavery by another name. Landlubbers are routinely commanded to serve the so-called justice system in jury duty. But before you swell with civic pride, consider that how you feel is irrelevant to the Crown. You will appear as ordered or face punitive measures. The Crown insists that you participate in your own oppression. A jury summons provides pirates with a unique opportunity to obstruct injustices. A juror can vote not guilty, even if it's proven the law was violated. A juror can acquit for any reason at all, and not even a judge can reverse that verdict. Receiving a jury summons is basically winning the sedition lottery. But if you reveal that you know this during jury selection, you'll probably be dismissed. If the Crown foolishly crimps a pirate into jury duty, it behooves the pirate to conceal their intention to nullify unjust laws. If a master takes 100% of your labor, it's called slavery. But if they only take 50%, they call it taxation, a difference of degree, not of kind. Whether the Crown claims a fortune or a cent is irrelevant. Most of all, a slave owner desires contented slaves, meaning thoughtless ones that accept their bondage. These house slaves see no contradiction in being drafted in a war to end slavery or summoned to a jury to prosecute tax evasion. An ideal slave knows no higher call than the master's will. The Crown's highest ambition is that its slaves revere the authority that subjugates them. But the Crown does not own me. I will not surrender my time and treasure to the Crown's ambitions. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Never, ever send a follow-up email asking, "Did you get my email?" Email 101. If it didn't bounce back undeliverable, it got where you sent it. And avoid transmedia pestering, like calling to ask, "Did you get my email?" or emailing to say, "I left you a voicemail." If your emails and voicemails aren't being acknowledged, your problem isn't technology, it's technique. Is your message concise and understandable? Have you boiled it down to seem as relevant as possible to the recipient? In other words, is it the opposite of spam or junk mail? All of this really matters if you're a job seeker. But even if you're not, with money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free, but only if you have a smile on your face. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, and we'll be able to hear it.
If you just tuned in, that was really weird.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah, that's true, Melanie. That's a good point. You always have to remember there's people always just tuning in on the radio. So for those of you just tuning in, we're talking about a disturbing story out of, where the hell was it?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Oh, Lebanon, Pennsylvania, where some high school is now mandating that all students, and presumably faculty as well, I'm not sure if that was made clear in the story, but I know I'd be pretty mad if I were being forced to smile, but the faculty wasn't also being forced to
I have
smile.
gone into government buildings that were painted a color that I knew was a color that they intend to paint to make you calm, and been mad
because
in
of that.
protest of the calmly
Yeah.
painted walls at the jail.
Oh, yeah. This would not go over well with me if I were still in high school. I mean, I wasn't even near, I wasn't a principled libertarian back then. I mean, I was sort of coming around to those ideas, but I was definitely an anti-authoritarian.
Neither was I when I was sitting in the weight room of St. Tammany Parish Jail with their gray and light blue walls.
Yeah. I was definitely anti-authoritarian. I did not like being told what to do, and I certainly would not have liked being told to smile. That's what's happening here. If you want to comment, you're welcome to join us. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. Something that might actually make you happy on its own volition is liberty.menu. If you're a libertarian, at least, if you're a voluntarist, if you're somebody who is an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, you might be pretty happy to know that there's finally a usable, good-looking, free website that you can use to promote your liberty-friendly business. So if you've got a business and you want other libertarian types to know about it, liberty.menu is here, and it works great. That's why we teamed up with them, because we've had listeners ask us, where do I go to find libertarian businesses? And we're like, listen to our advertisers. we didn't have any real answer to that question.
Right.
Now the answer is there, and there are people putting their businesses up from around the world over at liberty.menu. So you might be able to get new business out of this. and it doesn't cost you anything but the small amount of time it takes to register for an account and start adding your business. You get more than one thing, no problem. Put it all up there. Or maybe you are an events coordinator. Maybe you are a digital content creator. They've got listing types for those things too. In fact, there's even listings for the upcoming ForkFest. The guy who's behind Liberty.menu, Patrick, he's going to be at ForkFest, and he's a big supporter of it. So he actually created, when you go to create a new event right now on Liberty.menu, there's a special option just for ForkFest events. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, so Liberty.menu, if you want, you can use code FTL. That'll get you a special badge. It won't get you a discount because, again, it's free to use the site, but you can be recognized as a Free Talk Live listener over at Liberty.menu, code FTL on your profile. It's a great-looking site. I think you'll like it. All right, so is there more? Because what I really want to hear, if you have it, is a quote from some bureaucrat who actually supports this. Like, what do they have to say for themselves? The idea of, we want to force all government school students, and we're not sure if it's the entire school district or if it's just this one high school that's doing this. We want to force every government school student to have a smile on their face as they're walking about the hallways. That's what's happening in Lebanon or Lebanon. I don't know how they pronounce it in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they don't have that. Then the rest of our article was a quote from a student, and then pretty much the school saying...
What's the student say?
If you don't smile, you get called to the office or down to see your guidance counselor, Juliana said. You have to talk about your problems then. You have to.
You
or
have to.
Or you get detention.
As though
Wow.
because you don't have a smile smeared on your face, you have problems. I mean, I'm sure that most of the day I don't have a smile on my face, but believe me, my problems are minuscule compared to other people's. I don't feel like I've got problems. I mean, I'm a little stressed, I suppose, but big deal. That's life, right? This whole thing where they've got some kind of weird day prison concentration camp going on where they're like, you must be smiling all the time. All smiling or punishment.
Or the gas chambers.
It's weird.
And there are parents that do that, but parents don't usually have the resources to go around 24/7 and actually enforce it all the time. But apparently this school is doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking real quick here at some of the other news coverage of this. You said this one was from Yahoo that you had, and I'm not seeing anything yet as far as an official statement about this. Like, what are they thinking?
Yeah, they just responded by saying that they can't talk about it because they investigate bullying and can't talk about it with people who aren't the parents of that child.
Yeah, basically, if they were
Which is kind of non-responsive. But.
If they were to write this down, the lawyers would string them up. They begin.
Would they?
Crucifying them.
On what basis?
You can't do this.
Why not?
No, you cannot do that.
Why not? They are doing it. Why can't they do it? Why can't the school have rules for behavior? They do, right? The school says you can't go push somebody. The school says you can't shout.
Feelings.
Right? The school says you can't shout the F word in the hallway. So why shouldn't they be able to make a rule that says you got to have a smile on your face?
Yeah, this is going to...
Because they like to maintain an appearance of legitimacy. So when they get too psychotic, the lawyer's like, no, we fixed that. So
Zero tolerance. Zero tolerance has been around for decades now in the government schools, at least like 15, 20 years we've been reporting on it since the beginning.
That's not
here.
too psychotic. That's only a moderate level of psychotic.
I think a lot of people see zero tolerance as pretty ridiculous. I mean, there's been so many stories of teenagers or younger being arrested, being suspended, getting in trouble for having an aspirin or a butter knife, or there was the Boy Scout that had a knife in the back of his car in like a first aid kit that they somehow found and came after him for. I mean, there's been so many of these different insane zero tolerance stories, but that hasn't gone away. What would the challenge be exactly? I mean, you're trained as an attorney, Melanie. What's the standing that an attorney would have to come in there and bring a lawsuit against the school district?
This doesn't even meet rational. I forgot what the term is, but
There's a legal term?
Rational reasoning or something.
Well, I can let me rationalize this. I'll take the the government side here and play devil's advocate.
Well, that's me. You get the side of crazy people, and that's not fair, right? Like how can I argue against somebody
Are you against smiling?
Who already thinks that middle class welfare babysitting day prisons are an acceptable alternative
Right, that's where we're
to
starting
education.
from. So, are you saying you're against smiling?
I can't have the conversation.
Are you saying that you're against having a positive educational environment?
All I'm saying is everybody must smile, right? Like that's what I would do the whole time. Is I would act like a complete insane person.
Well, that's not going to fly in court.
What, court?
She's talking about some sort
Okay,
of
yeah,
court action.
rational basis review. There's no rational basis, and there's no
The
legitimate...
rational basis is we want our children to have good feelings.
Ian, they didn't write it down.
that isn't
They didn't
making
write
you
it
have
down
good
for a
feelings.
reason. Okay, I'm telling you, they're not quite dumb enough to write it down. The assistant principal can walk around with a riding crop and a pair of knee-high shined boots, acting like a little Hitler, but they will not write it down.
So not writing it down means it's not a real policy? If it's being enforced?
Yes.
It's being enforced.
Smile! You must have smile! Where's your smile?
Okay, so what's the difference then? If it's being enforced, 855-450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
You have been lied to. Generation after generation, time after time after time.
If you follow the money, then you understand why America's in the condition it's in.
You created the Federal Reserve in 1913 through lies. You create 9/11. Through 9/11, then you're fighting a war on terror, and now all of a sudden you go into Iraq, which was another lie.
This book will open people's eyes. Order now at killingunclesambook.com. killingunclesambook.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
So are you saying that if government ran a dating service, that society's problems would be solved?
Yes, actually they would. I know it's hard to believe, but it would.
Yeah, that's real hard to believe. I mean, there are dating services all over the place. Why would a government-run dating service be better?
No, they don't work. They're not Christian. They charge a lot of money.
What makes you think a government-run dating service would be better or Christian?
Yes, it would, because everybody would be in the same computer. Today it would be run by a computer. Everybody's knowledge of their existence and location would be in one place.
Let's say I disagree. What happens to me?
What happens if you disagree? Well, you can disagree, but does that mean you're not going to cooperate with us?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. Maybe I'd come over there and beat the hell out of you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free and join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. Coming up in a little less than 4 weeks from now, about 3.5 weeks, it is going to be ForkFest 2018, the second episode of ForkFest. Last year it wasn't even called ForkFest. This year some of us are calling it ForkFest. It's a decentralized camping event that's happening in the beautiful White Mountains of northern New Hampshire at a campground called Rogers Campground, which we've got a lot of experience going to. It's been, when did we start going to Rogers? Like 2009, I think it was.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 2009. So this will be our 10th year broadcasting from Rogers Campground. Pretty exciting. It's been fun going there over all the years and meeting a lot of our listeners at these various different Liberty camping events. But what has happened is what tends to happen when a movement becomes large. Whether it be a political movement or whether it be a religious movement or whatever, once that movement grows to a certain size, it's almost guaranteed to splinter. It's almost guaranteed to have some sort of a schism or more than one. And in this case, that's sort of what this event is. It is a fork or a schism, if you will, from a different event, the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which actually comes immediately after ForkFest. So you got ForkFest, which happens from June 14th through the 18th, and then the Porcupine Freedom Festival happens at the same campground the next day is when that starts on the 19th. So the idea is this is also a Liberty Camping Festival, but with the key difference of there is no organization. That is, as far as like there's no central organization. Each individual will organize their own self and what they want to do. So for instance, we're seeing people kind of coming forward with ideas of they want to sell food, for instance, or they want to have a musical performance. I haven't seen that yet, but that could happen. There's people who want to have speeches. There's going to be a discussion about mesh networking from the guy from Liberty.menu. He's putting that on, which he's doing it at the Alt Expo tent, which I just found out last night that they're going to be there. Alt Expo, for a little bit of history, is sort of the original fork, if you will. That happened a decade ago, back when the Free State Project put on its Liberty Forum event in, I think it was 2007, because we were there for the very first year of Liberty Forum. And Alt Expo was essentially a result of some people saying, well, we don't really much care for the things that are on the official schedule, so we're going to go ahead and create our own competing event that happens in the same hotel, and you guys are welcome to come to it if you want to. So they did that way back then because they didn't feel like the official schedule was really, where they wanted to be. They wanted to be with the people, but they didn't want to hear the discussions or whatever that were happening officially. And so they kind of created their own event. So now Alt Expo is going to be at ForkFest this year, and I suspect they'll be at the Porcupine Freedom Festival as well. There's a wedding that's going to be occurring on, I think, Sunday during ForkFest. There's Daryl W. Perry, one of our co-hosts, is going to host some athletic events. There's going to be a party that Daryl's throwing, and I suspect there's going to be even more than that hasn't even come out yet. People are talking about there's going to be a taco vendor there. Somebody's going to be cooking breakfast.
Tacos!
Yeah, there's going to be at least, it sounds like there might even be a handful because Will Coley and his wife and kids are going to be there. They're going to be cooking lunch and dinner every single night. They're going to be doing Asian cuisine, apparently. So it's turning into something. This, what was a year ago, its first event, was just, maybe 24 people at the campground doing their own thing and kind of hanging out. It sounds like there's going to be a lot more that's happening this time around. We have no idea how many people are going to attend this year. I would say it feels safe to say it's going to be more than last year, but how much more, we don't know because there are no tickets. There's no organization except for what you create. There's unofficial website, which is forkfest.party. And then there's unofficial ForkFest forums. There's chat rooms as well where you can get in there and you can talk to folks. We've got the ForkFest Telegram chat. We're getting a lot of questions from people who it sounds like they've never been to Rogers Campground before. They're asking questions about like cell phone coverage and where are there snacks available at the campground and things like that. So we're definitely going to see some new faces, I think, this year in addition to some old faces, which should be fun. So that's coming up June 14th through the 18th. You can learn more over at forkfest.party. The only thing you have to do if you want to attend is you got to get a campsite from Rogers Campground and or stay in the motel or stay down the street if you want to, wherever. It's going to happen at Rogers, though, so looking forward to that. In fact, I got an article coming out at freekeen.com. I'm putting the finishing touches on it. I'm waiting till I get some pictures of this new restaurant, but there's a restaurant down the street that is actually been opened recently by the manager of Rogers Campground, and she is going to accept cryptocurrency. In fact, I helped walk her through the setup process for the AnyPay cryptocurrency point of sale last week. So spent about an hour with her on the phone, kind of going over, answering questions and things like that. And she's super excited about being able to take crypto. So you'll actually be able to, if you're a big cryptocurrency fan, these events at Rogers Campground have sort of historically been crypto havens, if you will, like crypto mecca almost, where you can come there and, almost every vendor accepts cryptocurrency usually. I mean, I can't speak for them, obviously, but that has tended to be the case. This is a place where early crypto investor types like Roger Ver, Eric Voorhees, Charlie Shrem, many of these big name, if you know the crypto scene, you probably know those names. They kind of got their start at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. I remember a year when all three of those guys were there hanging out.
It was called the first cryptocurrency event in the world.
I believe it. I do believe that. And so now it's going to spread to ForkFest, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So look forward to seeing you there. Free Talk Live will be broadcasting from the event, and we'll be there every single day. We're going to do our show like we did last year, and we kind of do now where we aren't live, where we'll be recording during the daytime. So if you're walking around the campground during the day, you'll see us, and we'll be out there and doing our thing and interviewing whoever it is we feel like interviewing. So it'll be fun. Forkfest.party. Go learn more. June 14th through the 18th. We'll see you there. As we go to Sarah, she's in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I heard a story that for 30 years there was always at least one person going to the Bible study on Wednesday, and there was one night that nobody showed up for some reason.
You talking about like at some church? Do you go to a church? What? Give us a little more of a paint the picture a little better.
I'm going to have to hear more.
Well, my point is nobody showed up, and that was the day when the gas line blew up. Isn't it ironic? So
what are you talking about? What are you talking about in Albuquerque?
No, I'm talking about. I heard about it in a metaphysical. It was like a show, like metaphysical show of some kind of church.
So you don't know where this story took place. You don't know what time frame. No. You just know there was a Bible study somewhere and a gas line blew up because no one showed up, or you believe it was because no one showed up to the Bible study?
Well, my point is that I'm bringing up this psychic phenomena is that people, for some reason, if you asked all of them, how come you never showed up? They never had any. They're just caught up with doing stuff. They never knew why they never showed up.
This is the most disjointed call I think you've ever made. I mean, normally you're pretty easy to follow. You tend to call about similar things, like you're really obsessed with traffic rules and red light cameras and speeding tickets and things like that because you want to enforce those things on people. You believe that there are people living on the moon, cities on the moon. But normally when you call about these things, we can understand you. You're a communist. You've told us that before. And so, we can understand what you're saying and we can ask you questions. Does anyone in the studio have any idea what she's getting at? Is it just me?
I don't know.
There was some crazy person who went on the show and told a story, and we're supposed to believe it because reasons.
No, but I'm trying to bring a point where the night that nobody showed up and they never knew why they never showed up was the time that the gas line blew up. So what I'm saying is a lot of
correlation is not causation.
It's also not outside of human behavior. People blow stuff off all the time for no reason.
Are you suggesting, I just want to be clear, are you suggesting that the reason a gas line blew up is because people didn't show up to a Bible study?
No, what I'm saying is that there's some kind of like guides that talk to people where they told like people get these they were all distracted. They never knew why, but nobody showed up. But that was the day that the gas line blew up.
She is not making
So
any sense. It's just gobbledygook to me. Thank you for the call tonight, Sarah. I mean, if you were making some sort of coherent point, I would have held on to you, but she's just spewing words tonight, and it's more like a Ricky call than anything else. For those of you who know who I'm referring to.
What happened to Ricky?
If you're a new listener, you don't know, and you're probably better off. 855-450 free, like freedom, Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
If you or anyone you love has been diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, your diagnosis may be the result of job-related exposure to asbestos, and you may be entitled to compensation. Over $30 billion in trusts have been set aside for individuals who have been affected by asbestos exposure. How do you protect your rights and get the compensation you deserve? Call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. Capital Legal Group is one of the nation's resources for settlement of lung cancer and mesothelioma cases. Law firms have successfully recovered over $2.7 billion for their clients in all 50 states, and claims have been paid in as little as 60 days. If you or a family member were diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. We'll open a no-cost case review on your behalf. A history of tobacco use or cigarette smoking will not disqualify your case. Visit 800-400-LUNG.com or call 800-400-LUNG. Call 800-400-5864 now. That's 800-400-LUNG.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you can go this way?
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves by dialing in toll-free here and bringing up whatever's on your mind. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Melanie.
And Mark.
All right. Of course, you can bring up anything. You can also join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. We also have the Discord on-air call-in line room over at discord.lrn.fm. Since one ridiculous school story deserves another one, Melanie, you were talking earlier about a school in Pennsylvania that is mandating that all of its students wear a smile on their face as they are walking around the hallways. I got another headline here. This one coming out of, where is this? New Jersey. Headline: School superintendent arrested. Now, that doesn't happen very often. But why? For repeatedly pooping on the high school track.
Not his high school track.
Ah, you figured it out. We'll tell you more about that coming up here in moments. But first, we go to John in Philadelphia, listening online via the Free Talk Live app. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was wondering, is there a difference between Zcash and Zencash? And if so, where do I find out about Zencash?
There is, but I couldn't tell you what it is. I know that they both use the zero-knowledge anonymity.
Zcash doesn't have the nodes.
You're saying Zcash doesn't have as many secure nodes or whatever?
I don't think they have nodes at all.
Zcash must have nodes. It's a Bitcoin-based cryptocurrency. So I believe Zencash came out of Zcash. I believe Zencash is a fork of the Zcash code, I think. But I believe the Zencash people have done some sort of tweaking to it that they say makes it better. But again, I don't know which one's better than whatever. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the technology is similar. Maybe maybe it's true Zencash is better. I don't have the technical chops to be able to figure that stuff out. What was the other part of your question?
Where can I read the Zencash white paper? Because I keep running into the Zcash white paper and can't seem to find the Zencash one.
So all you got to do is go to zencash.com.
How is that spelled?
With a Z. Zencash.
Oh, okay.
Zencash.com. So
cool.
For listeners unfamiliar, you're referring to cryptocurrency we've been promoting here on Free Talk Live. It is one of the private cryptos out there. It also was founded by voluntarists, so it's got the philosophy of freedom behind it too, which I think is important. I think it's important to have the programmers actually understanding freedom, because if you look at like what some of the Bitcoin programmers have said these days, the Bitcoin Core guys, they've said some really anti-freedom, really pro-state stuff that it's just pretty disgusting reading some of that stuff. And I don't want those people to be programming, a cryptocurrency that is important to the world.
Well, hopefully the guys behind Zen keep it going or whatever, even if the government starts regulating, because if it's anonymous, then it's
hard to
regulate. It doesn't matter if they regulate it.
Well, exactly. And that's the nice thing about cryptocurrency in general is whether it's anonymous or not, this cat's out of the bag and the government is not going to be able to put it back in. There's no regulating crypto. All the government can really do to try to regulate is to regulate the points of exchange from dollars into crypto and vice versa. So there's only a handful of U.S. domestic-based exchanges that are operating, and so they can target in on each one of those exchanges and regulate the hell out of them and make it so they have to do all kinds of reporting of who's exchanging what, and of course many of them are already doing that. So if you sell crypto on like Coinbase or whatever, they're going to send you a 1099 at the end of the year. And I imagine, Melanie, you probably had a few clients having to deal with that as a tax preparer.
Yeah, they did send it to 99K, which is more helpful, but if they send you a 1099, like, it's there.
It's on the books. Yeah. So they can crack down on the exchanges, but they can't stop people from sending and receiving Bitcoin. I mean, that's just, or Zencash or whatever, any of these cryptocurrencies, whether they're private or not. Remember, even with Bitcoin, it can still be used pseudonymously, meaning that as long as you don't tell anybody what your address is, yeah, everybody can see those transactions because the Bitcoin blockchain is public, which the blockchain is the ledger, right, the public ledger that is the backbone of the system. But if they don't know who owns that address and they see 50 Bitcoin move from one address to another or half a Bitcoin or whatever, they know how much has moved and they know from which address to which address, but they don't know who had the first address and they may not know who had the second address and so on and so forth. So ultimately,
Right.
there's nothing that the government can do to really stop these things unless they, try to stop overt commerce, like by making it illegal for stores to accept cryptocurrency and then arresting, store owners for accepting it. But even still, it would just drive it all completely underground, and then it would just become a total black market currency. It wouldn't go away. It would just, become less public. Does that answer your question?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, great. And also on the school district forcing the kids to smile, I agree with Melanie. It's totally 1984. And if I were a parent in that school district, I'd take my kid out of the school and encourage everybody to boycott it. I mean, it's close enough to the end of the year that it doesn't really matter. It's totally unethical. It seems illegal.
I'm with you. John, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it, although I'd recommend people taking their kids out of the government school now anyway, regardless of what the policies are in your local district, because government schools suck, and they are like the bottom of the barrel for educational quality, and it's arguably child abuse to send your kids there.
Well, I'm not going to go ahead and say arguably, but I am going to say that, well, government schools, number one in prison, right? Number one in school shootings. They just are not a desirable place to send your kid. If I got to ask you, would you prefer your child to have a government school education or a private school education? Chances are good you're going to say, well, the private school would be better.
A lot of government teachers send their kids to private school.
As a matter of fact, a disproportionate number of government school teachers send their kids to private schools.
That's right.
What does that tell you?
Exactly. It tells you they know something you don't. Right?
They might be willing to teach your kids, but they're not willing to let their cohorts teach their kids.
Vice.com reports, for some strange, inexplicable reason, public poopers have been waging turd terrorism across the country in recent months. First, there was the mad pooper of Colorado Springs, a jogger who would routinely pinch a loaf on the same family's lawn while out on a run. I remember hearing about that story. They finally caught that one because, you're doing the same thing in the same place over and over again. Somebody's going to set up a camera. They're going to find you. Then there was the Arkansas S-Bandit, another jogger who liked to do the number 2 near parked cars. Now it looks like New Jersey police have finally caught their own dastardly defecator. These are great. Great writing here. And this one feels like the end of particularly S-centric Scooby-Doo episode. According to police, the mystery pooper who'd been essing on the Holmdel High School track every morning wasn't some angry student failing gym class. It was the superintendent of a neighboring school district.
How did you think you were going to get away with repeated poopings
I don't know.
on the 50-yard line? I mean, at some point or another, that this is being picked up, right? Because you're going
Somebody's
back.
doing it, yeah.
So,
and that person has a very high incentive to catch you so that you stop.
Right. And we have things like, I don't know, remote cameras.
He did this on the track, not the football field. Anyway, going on. According to NJ.com, faculty at the school apparently tired of cleaning coils of human dew off their track on a daily basis.
Right.
Put together a sting operation and caught the man, 42-year-old Thomas Tremglini, in the act. Police arrested. They caught him in the act. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I hope there's video of that. Police arrested Tremglini on the track early Monday morning. He, the Kenilworth school superintendent, is now being charged with, quote, lewdness, littering, and defecating in public, unquote, according to the Holmdel Township Police Department's Facebook post. The school district has reportedly placed him on paid leave while he faces the charges. It's unclear exactly why Tremglini allegedly made it his duty to make duty at the high school, but since this was an ongoing issue, the question is worth exploring. What inspires a seemingly normal person to begin pooping in public?
I think that this is...
I only know 2 things about this man, neither of which are normal.
Right. What are the 2 things you know about him?
And that he's a school, he's a school
superintendent that poops on the neighboring school's lawn.
Is it some animalistic urge, an instinct to rebel against our civilized turd and bowl world and drop a deuce in nature? Or is it just, really funny to poop outside once in a while?
So when this guy was going to high school, this would have been called a prank.
Right.
So I think this is, I got to let him go. This is a prank.
over and over and over again?
Well,
okay, so I kind of have a higher standard of behavior for a 20 to 30-year-old, whatever he is.
This guy is not 20 to 30.
person.
He's 42 years old.
Okay, yeah, so I have a higher standard of behavior for a 40-year-old than I do for a 17-year-old prisoner.
Well, I got to say that, this wouldn't happen if the other school didn't suck so bad, right? So they just, he's doing a service.
That's what I was thinking it was. It was like the school rivalry thing.
Yeah, that's what I think.
What's going on here. But yeah, it is an interesting.
That's the best I got.
Yeah, it is an interesting question though. Like, what motivates somebody to actually go out and drop a deuce in public like that? I mean, it can't be that easy, right? Does he bring toilet paper with him?
Well, maybe.
Or do you walk back with it? Anyway,
he's out there
we're out of
walking,
time.
just jostling his colon.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, May 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.41 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,285 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $33, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,500. Antiwar.com reports a number of Afghan senators, including Deputy Speaker Mohammed Alam Azadiar, are calling for an immediate review of security agreements with both the United States and NATO, complaining they have not fulfilled their promises to support Afghan forces in maintaining control of the country. In particular, senators complained that the amount of the country under control is getting even worse, saying more than 50% of Afghanistan is now either under Taliban control or contested by them. Senator Afzal Shamil said the U.S. should be ashamed and start taking the losses in Afghanistan seriously, even those supporting the U.S. deal agreed that the situation is looking dire, but argued the security forces needed to be supported by the Senate. Many see this deal as a losing proposition, however, saying that Afghanistan needs to review the bilateral security agreement with the United States and the status of force agreement with NATO. It is not clear if they want to negotiate a replacement or just expel foreign forces from the country outright as a first step towards a negotiated settlement. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports a North Carolina man crashed his vehicle into a restaurant, killing his daughter and daughter-in-law, according to police on Sunday. Roger Self of Dallas, North Carolina, went into the Surf and Turf Lodge in nearby Bessemer City with several members of his family, including his daughter Caitlin and his daughter-in-law Amanda. After they got a table, Roger went out to his vehicle and rammed it into the restaurant where the two women were sitting. Caitlin and Amanda Self were killed. Roger's wife, Diane, his son, Josh, and his 13-year-old granddaughter were injured. Roger was arrested and faces 2 counts of murder. The incident took many locals by surprise due to the family's connection to the area, including its law enforcement community. The Gaston-Gazette described Roger Self as a prominent proprietor of a private investigations company who has known the district attorney there, Locke Bell, for more than 30 years. The Gaston-Gazette reported that Roger Self had been battling severe depression in recent years.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a mountain lion killed one mountain biker and mauled another in Washington state on Saturday when they rode into its territory, and authorities later shot the animal dead. The mountain bikers were riding together down a remote backwoods trail at 11 a.m. local time in an area near North Bend, Washington, around 30 miles east of Seattle, when the two men encountered the animal. King County Sheriff's Office spokesman Sergeant Ryan Abbott said in the ensuing attack, the first rider received deep scratches and the other was dragged away by the mountain lion into its den. The 31-year-old survivor rode 2 miles out of the area and called 911. Police drove up the trail, found the victim's body, and went into the woods where they came across the mountain lion standing over the body, according to Abbott. Abbott said he or she, I don't know if the mountain lion was male or female, had the body of the victim down in the den. A deputy took a shot at the animal, sending it fleeing into the woods. Officers of the Washington Department of Fish and Game tracked down the big cat with dogs and killed it. Abbott said the survivor was taken to a hospital in Seattle with serious but not life-threatening injuries. Fatal mountain lion attacks are extremely rare in North America, with only about 24 recorded in the last 100 years, most of them involving children. Abbott said this was only the second deadly attack by a mountain lion in Washington state in the last 100 years. Mountain lions are the 4th largest cat species worldwide and usually attack humans only if cornered. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. A report released this week by the Brookings Institution found that the U.S. currently has enough chairs and that there is no urgent need to produce any new ones for the time being. Researchers confirmed through overwhelming evidence that there is absolutely no shortage of chairs, citing in their findings the sheer number of armchairs, folding chairs, bar stools, Adirondack chairs, swivel chairs, lazy boys, and rocking chairs already in existence.
Our research shows that even in a place where there seems not to be enough chairs, a quick investigation will find 1 or 2 chairs just over in the next room. Basically, as far as chairs go, I'd like to reiterate that we have a very good number of them and could just use those.
And in this week's local news, the guy in front of you is ordering for an entire construction crew. In other news, a local police department reduces costs by using the same evidence for every investigation. Voters are clamoring to hear if a female political candidate is a mother first, and a whitewater rafting trip in which a friend drowned is still pretty fun.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yeah, no fear here, and declare your independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios